Welcome to Daytona.
400 laps, nose rocket. Get us 1 and I. Go get him.
Tony Stewart's car, the number 14. You think he gets tired of giving autographs? If you can see under that tarp there, you would see that he's got 50,000 fan autographs on the hood of a special Burger King paint scheme. Tony will join us shortly on the rig. But first, you can get some insight from that interview coming up on put Tony Stewart in your lineup when you play the $1 Million Fan Challenge. Do not miss a golden opportunity. You can win up to $1 million by going to NASCAR.com, choosing your lineup, and you can even change that lineup with up to 40 laps to go, or 40 laps rather, into the race. Here's something to factor in. Many drivers are driving their backup cars tonight, including Tony Stewart, because of incidents during 2 action-filled practice sessions on Thursday. How is this going to affect their chances? Well, our experts on pit road know the answer. For more on Denny Hamlin, as well as the pits that he'll cover, we'll send it now to Marty Snyder.
Well, Lindsay, all we do is win. That's become the slogan for this number 11 team. So much so that fans are now writing it on pit wall in front of Denny Hamlin's pits. But as you mentioned, if they're going to do that tonight, they have to come from the back of the pack after a happy hour incident. And the race car Denny's driving has not been on the racetrack since it was here in the Daytona 500 and finished 17th. But Mike Ford told me, I don't think we're going to have to use strategy to get up there. I think this car will be good enough to get to the front. My end of pit road, we'll be watching that 11 car and see how fast he can get to the front today. Let's head up pit road to Phil Parsons.
Marty, Kyle Busch was involved in 2 separate incidents during practice on Thursday. The first one relegated him to this backup car, a brand new car, never been on the racetrack. The second one took your guy out, Denny Hamlin, and that's why Denny had to go to a backup car. Kyle was able to emerge from that accident unscathed. He won this race 2 years ago, and he was leading about right there last year before contact with Tony Stewart took him out of the race. Matt Yoakum.
Phil, 6 months ago, Jimmy McMurray scored the biggest win of his career when he drove right here in the Daytona's victory lane. He's trying to do something tonight that hasn't been done since Ronald Reagan's first term back in 1982 when Bobby Allison swept both Cup races here at Daytona, the 500 and the Firecracker 400. McMurray, he's got a great section on pit road, which I'll have, but he's also got a great race car. Ralph, he quit practice early, just showing you how great that one car is going to be here tonight.
Yeah, he should be tough, Matt. And this is one of the pit stalls I'll be covering tonight, the 2004 champion, Kurt Busch. Now, believe it or not, in 10 years of racing in NASCAR Sprint Cup division, Kurt's never won a restrictor plate race. He's got 4 top 5 finishes here in the last few races at Daytona in July, and he's led more laps this season than any other driver. He's just hoping here tonight at Daytona, he leads the last one.
Speaking of favorites here at this race, Tony Stewart has a reputation for ruling the summer months. He has dominated at Daytona in July. The 3 times he's won this summer race, he's done it by starting from the front row. Tonight, he will try to muscle his way to the front in a backup car. Tony Stewart joins us now. Tony, I know that you didn't have an opportunity to get that car out on the track. How much of a challenge is that going to be for you tonight?
Really, it won't be too bad, other than the fact that we have to start at the back because we didn't get a lap in it. And the biggest thing is just going out the first run and figuring out how far the front end's traveling and for the splitter height. So there's a possibility the first stop may be a longer stop, and even if we don't feel it hitting, they may be jacking the car up and looking underneath at the splitter to see how we're traveling, and we may kind of take an extended pit stop there to make an adjustment on the Packers in the front. But other than that, I mean, it's the same car tonight that we won the race last year with. So at least it's been on the track. It's proven that there's nothing that we're worried about with it, really.
So people shouldn't worry if they see an extended pit stop.
No, there's not a problem at the beginning if that happens. So it's better to do it at the beginning than it is at the end. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, I think. I'm kind of have mixed emotions about starting at the back with it, but when you don't know what it's going to do on the front end, and as sensitive as these cars are to travel in the front, it's probably better that we're backing out of the way. That way we don't get run over if something's not right off the get-go.
Right now we are waiting out a little bit of weather. Things a little bit soggy here at the track, and it's been raining, I would say, for the past 30 minutes or so. Temperature, 78 degrees. See the humidity there. Larry McReynolds, 85%. This weather map, put on your meteorologist hat. What do you think?
Well, it's doing something strange here. It's actually moving from the east to the west, but the biggest thing, it's swirling right there between the Atlantic Ocean and coming on land there in the state of Florida. But the thing that to me looks promising, when I look to the west right now as I spoke in the countdown to green, I see some promising skies. So you never know. It's easy to be a weatherman in Florida. It's 50% chance of thunderstorms every single afternoon.
What do you have, your meteorological degree or something?
I love the Weather Channel. When I can't watch it, I just get Linda to tape it, and I watch it when I get home.
That's what you TiVo. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, you can see the light peaking right over there from the west. How tricky is that for these drivers as they wait to get things started here at Daytona?
Well, they know when they get this track dry that it's going to be cool, it's going to have a ton of grip, and normally more grip just means handling issues that you had in practice. It's going to make it better. The biggest thing, Lindsay, is these guys have been waiting all day long. They have their routine, and it's the anticipation. We should be ready to race now, and now we've got to wait, and then the question becomes, how long will we have to wait?
You mentioned routine. The routine here at Daytona is about to be busted wide open because this is going to be the last race before this track is repaved. The last time that happened was 1979, and that's really when it all began. The first nationally televised flag-to-flag race. It included with a memory that sticks out for all NASCAR fans, Larry McReynolds, because there was a brawl that ensued between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. Really, you could say that that race was a perfect storm for the sport of NASCAR.
Well, Donnie Allison in the 1, Cale Yarborough in the 11, they had been beating and banging prior to that last lap. And then here you see Bobby Allison, Donnie's brother, stops down there in the corner. He's really just going to check on Donnie, and next thing you know, the three of them are fighting. But it was absolutely the perfect storm for NASCAR because it was the first flag-to-flag coverage on a major network of the Daytona 500. The entire eastern seaboard was snowed in from Maine to Jacksonville, Florida. There were a lot of eyes watching that 500, and I think what the fans saw, these guys love what they do, and they're very passionate about what they do.
And that's why when we hear NASCAR say, drop the gloves, get back at 'em, boys, it kind of is reminiscent of the things that really started the attention, the eyeballs on the sport in the first place.
I've said all along, Lindsay, our sport, yeah, it was built about race cars on the racetrack racing each other, but our sport was built upon emotion and feelings, and these guys show it. And certainly NASCAR, even today, they say, look, we still have to maintain law and order. We can't have people getting out of their race car slinging jack handles at each other. But if we want to see these guys get out of their car, as we've seen almost every single weekend in 2010, and put out their emotion, their feelings, you know what? That's what our sport was built on, starting right back in '79, and let's go at it here in 2010.
Well, driver Casey Kane seems pretty mild-mannered. I've certainly never seen him swing a jackhammer at anybody, but I have seen him. His tensions have risen a little bit over the past couple weeks. Right now, he's standing by with Marty Snyder.
I've seen him angry before, but never swinging a jack handle at anyone like the 79 Daytona 500. You have no recollection of that race, I'm assuming, right?
No, I'm not sure on that one.
Well, how old were you in 79?
I was -2.
-2, that's right. Yeah, you weren't even here yet. Good and agreed. What is your favorite Daytona 500 memory? While we're talking about the surface being redone, and you and I were just talking about your favorite memory.
Well, I think for myself, it was watching Earnhardt Sr. win his first one. You know, just it had been, I think we had all watched for so long how close he had came. And then when he won that, I was on a cruise. We had left that day, so I was watching it on the ship, and it was just really neat to see him come down pit road. Everybody's high-fiving him and stuff, and then the celebration. But it was just cool for his first one after so many tries.
Let's talk about your efforts here at Daytona. How's the prospects of getting your first Daytona win tonight?
Well, it's been decent this year. You know, we were quick during the Bud Shootout, Speed Weeks. We're really fast in the 500 lead laps, and at the end we kind of fell back. We had a little issue with the car, but we were fast here, and I think we were decent on Thursday too. So it's just about being in the right position, being there late in the race, and then being in the right position, getting the right push, and having it all work out. It could definitely happen for our Budweiser Ford team.
Wednesday, July 21st. Prime time on Speed is about to hit the gas. At 8, it's the new original stunt riding series, Stealth Rider. Then, it's an all-new season of Pigs All Out, followed by the premiere of Intersections, where man and machine are pushed to the limit. 3 great original series premiere Wednesday, July 21st, only on Speed.
I'm really proud to be a part of it. Love, it's pretty amazing. Her name is Amanda Brookman, and she is my destiny, although she may not know that, per se. So you can go online and make any kind of car you want. I made a love car.
Do I think they stand a chance? I mean, who doesn't love love?
I love love.
Design a new car, win new prizes at ToyotaRacing.com.
Who?
I'm Montel Williams. Would an extra $1,000 come in handy right now? Then I'd like to talk to you about Money Mutual. It's your trusted source to over 60 lenders to get you up to $1,000 fast. That big medical bill? Paid. The car? Fixed. Breathing room till payday? Done. Just be 18 or older and have a regular income of at least $800 a month. No credit score required. Need cash tomorrow? Go to moneymutual.com today.
We now offer phone service for $1.70 a month with Magic Jack. That's just $19.95 a year. $19.95 a year. We give you free local and long distance and your own phone number. Make us your new phone company or add a second line with Magic Jack.
There is an inherent obsession with speed that lies in man, causing us to continually push the limits of the physical world. Something virtuous about being the fastest. For over a century, this phenomenon has been deeply rooted on a Florida beach where men would pit machine against machine in a measured mile. This renowned stretch of sand was soon circuited by the slick asphalt of A1A, ultimately leading to the creation of Daytona International Speedway. A showcase, a laboratory, a monument to the birthplace of speed.
Green flag is out and we're back at it in Daytona.
With the restrictor plates opened up, more horsepower will be unleashed tonight than has been seen here in over 20 years. Drivers will grip the wheel a little tighter as they push these motors to the brink in a contested rush of velocity to see who's the baddest, who's the hardest, and most importantly, who is the fastest. The Coke 0400 on TNT is next.
It is the 4th of July weekend, and that means the Coke 0400 at Daytona International Speedway. We have gone through an hour-and-a-half rain delay, but the drivers are in their cars. They're getting ready to fire up the engines. They will be starting under the lights because they will not have to worry about transitioning from day to night racing here at this track. They're lining up due to points at this race because qualifying was rained out. That means Kevin Harvick starts at the front.
Yeah, I guarantee you, we're going to see some fast speeds in this 400-miler.
Let's go trackside for the command to start engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2000 Sprint Cup Series champion and original member of the Coca-Cola racing family, Bobby Labonte, as he celebrates his 600th start as a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver and delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
From the Coca-Cola racing family to yours, gentlemen, start your engines.
Bobby Labonte with the special opportunity to give the command. They're under the lights as they've been since 1998. Wide open coverage when we come back.
Tonight on Speed, it's tire burning, fender bending,
Hey!
fast as you can TV you just gotta watch. Tonight beginning at 8 Eastern with Pastime on Speed.
When business travel leaves you drained, recharge with free high-speed internet and free hot breakfast. Comfort Suites, power up. Right now, when you stay 2 times, with Comfort Suites or any Choice Hotel, you can feed a family of 4. Book now at choicehotels.com to start earning your $50 restaurant gift card.
Start your engine.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Does a former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist?
And that's why yellow makes me sad, I think.
That's interesting. You know what makes me sad?
You do! Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Tissue? Cry, baby.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My truck isn't something you want to see in your rearview mirror.
My truck is a 3,400-pound precision-guided sledgehammer.
I guess you could say my truck likes to take the path less traveled.
My truck never gets claustrophobic in tight spaces.
My truck doesn't haul tools, but hardware, that's a different story.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Tough trucks, tough racing.
Now our race analysis for tonight's Coke Zero 400. 160 laps makes up the 400 miles. You see the pit window, 38 to 42 laps. Pit road speed tonight, 55 miles per hour. And that's slow when you consider how fast the drivers are running around this place.
Yeah, it's not going backwards. If you got to come in and pay for a penalty or a drive-through or anything like that, 55 is just crawling. Especially when these guys are running 185, 190 miles per hour on the straightaway.
Because it is a green racetrack, NASCAR has announced to the teams there will be a competition caution at lap 15. So regardless of what happens early in the race, we will get a competition caution so drivers can come down pit road and make sure everything is where it needs to be. You cannot fuel your car prior to that.
Yeah, and you know, they're running extra caution laps here. And one reason they're running extra caution laps, I know you people at home are watching this on TV, you keep hearing those jet dryers. That's the massive noise you hear in the background, and especially when they're on pit road. Even though they drive the racetrack, the cars were sitting on pit road. Now that the cars are on the racetrack, the jet dryers have gone up and down pit road. They've tried to circle and dry that area in, because if they are going to have a competition caution, they've got to make sure that pit road is safe for the guys that go over the wall. You don't want these guys coming down at 55 miles an hour and hitting this wet asphalt and sliding into somebody on pit road. So they're not going to drop the until they get pit road where it's safe. The racetrack is looking good, but pit road has to be safe also.
2 practice sessions here on Thursday. They were eventful. In the first, David Reagan, Casey Kane, and Kyle Busch all wrecked and went to backup cars. They will start in their scheduled positions here tonight. Other drivers involved, Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Robert Richardson Jr., and Reed Sorensen, all will have to go to the tail of the field at the start of tonight's race. And to explain that a little bit more, let's go back down to Larry McReynolds.
Well, it gets a little bit complicated, Adam, because NASCAR's rule is that if you crash a car before qualifying and you have to go to a backup, as long as you present that car with the race engine, you're good to start the race where you qualify. Well, when you look at the fact that David Reagan, Kyle Busch, and Casey Kane, they got back out on the racetrack in practice, and even though qualifying was scratched, these guys are able to start the race where they actually would be as per the owner points. But now if qualifying had went off where Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, and Reed Sorensen could have made 1 or 2 laps in that race car, they could have started where the points would have left them. But it's mainly a safety thing that NASCAR does, is that since they did not make a lap with those race cars, they have to start this race at the rear of the field.
But this is a gift for guys like Tony Stewart, because these are guys that don't have any time on their car. They have no idea what it's going to do. This gives them a great opportunity, knowing a caution is going to come out, to hit pit lane and make an adjustment, probably a couple of adjustments.
Yeah, and Tony Stewart in our Countdown to Green show on TNT, he said the same thing. He said, expect my first pit stop to be a little bit longer because we don't know where we're at. We might have to add a little bit to keep the valence off the racetrack. We might have to make some adjustments. So by having the competition yellow, it's a godsend for those guys.
And it will provide for some entertainment, because when you don't have track position here, it means you need to work your way through the field, and certainly some of the best at doing so, Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin, among those drivers that will start this race at the tail of the field. The last time they came by the start-finish line, the 1-to-go signal was given. So now as drivers make their way down the back straightaway, we are a half a lap from going green. It's not the first time we've been delayed in the Coke Zero 400. Some 5 years ago, we started the race at 10:45 p.m. Tony Stewart went on to win in 2005. butterflies building all day, Wally, and I guess at this stage they've reached their peak.
Yeah, but like I said, once those engines fire up, the butterflies go away. I mean, these guys they're ready to get down and do business. And you watch if you notice the temperature, I think it's at 77 degrees, which doesn't sound too bad, but the thing to look at is the humidity. The humidity was like at 90%, and that's what makes the racetrack slick.
An hour and a half rain delay tonight, but we are set to go racing at Daytona. 43 cars lined up. It's a wonderful thing. Anytime you can put the green flag in the air at the World Center of Racing. Tonight marks the end of half number 1 on the Sprint Cup Series schedule. We're glad you're with us on this holiday weekend here on TNT. Wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400. Brent Bodine set to pull the pace car to pit lane. Tony Stewart, the driver to watch from the back. And as we will follow his progress, our eyes in the front, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson on row number 1. Fans feeling the anticipation, and now the green flag in the air, and we are underway racing at Daytona.
Saw a little bit of this yesterday, Kyle, at least in the nationwide race, that bottom line was awfully strong during the race.
The bottom line in the nationwide race was strong all night long. You expect the bottom line to be kind of strong with new tires and on a green racetrack and at cooler temperatures, so you think it's going to be some grip. But, you know, these guys, I don't think anybody's gained or lost a foot or a foot and a half since they dropped the green flag.
Jimmy Johnson in the outside lane leads lap 1. Not much movement. Still several rows of 2.
I was just going to say, you know, I haven't seen anybody hit anybody yet, but that's Kyle Busch, who probably takes the lead for that.
That's Kyle Busch up on the wheel saying, go, 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 go. You saw those little, the vents that come up right in front of the windshields right there. You know, that's just the air that's tripping over the spoiler. It creates lift right there, and it's lifting those up. You'll see that a lot during the night on these cars.
Great shot there as they come through the tri-oval for the second time. Lap 2 belongs to the pole sitter and point leader Kevin Harvick.
I'm surprised, actually, you know, Kyle Busch has been leaning on him. I'm surprised he hasn't pulled out and tried to take the lead. He leans on him real hard going down the straightaway, and of course you got to back off before you get to the corner, because if you're on the guy's bumper, when you're pushing him into the corner, you'll spin him out. But he has been wearing out the back of that 29.
Harvick led the most laps here in February. 41 circuits he had the field in tow during the 500, and of course he won the last restrictor plate race. A dramatic come-from-behind win, passing McMurray at the line at Talladega back in April.
You know, just watching these first few laps, all these cars look fairly stable. I think watching some of the racing last night, those guys, it was a lot hotter. The temperatures were up, obviously, and the racetrack was a little bit different. But those guys struggled after about 4 or 5 laps. I mean, they were going in and going straight up the racetrack. You see these guys have already, Jimmy Johnson jumped down in the inside lane. You just saw Kurt Busch. So these guys have conceded the fact that the outside lane, you know, 4 or 5 laps into a run is not going anywhere. We need to get in line and try to the bottom of the racetrack.
First car in that outside lane being scored in the 7th position. That's Jeff Burton in the 31 Caterpillar car. Greg Biffle right behind him, and there goes the Biff to the inside with his teammate Matt Kenseth. Told you Denny Hamlin starting at the back. He's up 15 positions from 38th, and Tony Stewart on the move as well. Let's send it downstairs to Phil Parsons.
Yeah, Tony Stewart reported to Darian Grubb that it felt like the front end was a little bit high. And that's because, remember, Darian said, I'm not sure exactly where to put our heights and where to get our splitter, how high off the ground. So may be able to adjust on that a little bit on that competition caution on lap 15.
But, you know, when they went through the inspection process, they had no idea there was going to be a competition yellow. So Darian and those guys obviously opted to go a little bit higher. You didn't want to start this race and start slamming the racetrack right off the bat. The safest place for those guys to be were a little bit high, so they didn't wear the splitter off. Now they're going to be able to maybe adjust that thing. And if they make an adjustment that's a positive adjustment, that really helps this thing. If he's picked up that many positions where the thing will be in a little bit high, when he gets it right, he'll come back a little bit far, or come forward some more.
Jimmy Johnson started on the outside of the front row, led lap 1. Kevin Harvick, who started on the pole, took over at lap number 2, and he's led every lap since. After inventing a drink with real Coke taste and 0 calories, Coke Zero now gives NASCAR fans an exclusive peek at Joey Logano's pit stop.
Oh, hey, it's Joey Logano. Listen, while I'm busy trying to win the Coke Zero 400, you can help me with another race happening right now online. Go to CokeZero.com and vote for me in the Coke Zero Fan 400. If you do and I win, all my fans get to join me in a victory chug with a free Coke Zero.
Friday, NASCAR breezes into the Windy City, and we're there for live Sprint Cup practice and qualifying. Then catch a sight of your favorite drivers you've never seen before with NASCAR Trackside. Live coverage from Chicago begins Friday at 12:30 Eastern.
Only on Speed.
A couple things America got right: cars and freedom.
We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
Remember when you were 5 and anything was possible? Happy 5th birthday again.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Think Labor Day parties are just about firing up the grill? Well, the biggest Labor Day celebration in the USA is about firing up the engines and lighting up the night. Last year, we made history. This year, we make it a tradition. NASCAR Night Racing returns to Atlanta Motor Speedway Labor Day weekend, featuring a pre-race concert by Foreigner. Sunday tickets start at just $39. Kids under 12 free Saturday. Call 1-8779-AMS-TIX or go to AtlantaMotorspeedway.com.
Oh, Daddy.
No, Macy, I can't let you drive the old Aaron's Dream machine. It's too dangerous.
Please?
Honey, your feet won't even reach the pedals.
Oh, Daddy, I love you.
Whoa, Focus. You're only 11. You don't have a license.
But I have my own suit.
Boy, you sound an awful lot like ODW.
Your dad let you drive.
Name brand furniture, electronics, appliances, and computers are all here at Aaron's. You don't need credit to buy or lease at Aaron's guaranteed low price. Nobody beats Aaron's.
We're still going for ice cream, right, honey?
Jeff Gordon pulling that outside lane around. He became the 3rd different leader last time by, outdueling Harvick for that. Kevin Harvick's been solid tonight, Marty.
He's been leading most of these laps, Adam, and trying to keep the car up front. And it's funny, Kyle, exactly what you were just talking about is what Harvick and I were talking about when he climbed in the car. He said, you know what? For about 10 laps, these things are great. But after that, that's when handling will become a factor. He said, for me, I think we need to be in a single line. I want to be up front in that line if I can. But you'll see who has a good handling race car about 10 to 12 laps into a run.
You see these guys in the top groove have gone all the way to the top groove. They've just given up the middle of the racetrack. But look how much the separation is on these cars from where they went into turn 1 to where they come out of turn 2. They're giving each other a lot of room now. They know there's going to be a couple more laps, and they're going to catch a competition yellow, and they're going to be able to come in and change. You see the 2-car. He goes in the middle of the racetrack, goes straight to the top.
24 got loose right there.
Yeah.
He hit that bump, and sometimes you catch these bumps just the wrong way, depending on where you're on the racetrack and you have other cars around you. That car jumps sideways on him. Jeff's going to lose some spots here.
And look at Jeff. Jeff's in the middle, and that's the bad place to be right now, especially if your car's a little loose or a little pushy one way or another, because you're not going to be able to get that thing to turn because they're taking air off of you from both sides.
Yeah, you basically, when you're in the middle like this, you've just got to roll out of the throttle, and you've got to either wait for a gap or get behind one of these lines, because you cannot run full throttle in the middle through the corners at Daytona, or it'll just turn sideways.
A few laps ago, Jeff Gordon, the race leader. Now just trying to find a spot in line outside the top 10. He finally gets it in front of Kane.
Thing down, man.
Wow.
Yeah, he
wanted it bad.
He wanted to get back in line there at some point down the inside, and he made that turn.
Bottom of the racetrack, Kyle Busch. Outside, Greg Biffle. This is the battle for second. Busch, the man in the runner-up spot as they cross the start-finish line. 13 complete at Daytona. Kevin Harvick continues to lead. You're watching the Coke 0400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola on TNT.
Aerial coverage is provided by the Goodyear Blimp. Tonight, Goodyear is doing something that has never been done before in a NASCAR race. To tell us more, here's Richard Childress and his team.
NASCAR trusts Goodyear. Their tires are on every car in every race. And because of this, Goodyear is able to do something that has never been done in the history of NASCAR.
Tonight, every car will proudly race on these special edition tires with the Support Our Troops logo boldly displayed on the sidewalk. This is to kick off Goodyear's Support Our Troops initiative.
Support Our Troops is a non-profit organization that benefits military personnel and their families. Last year, they shipped $8 million worth of goods to troops all over the world.
Let's see how much money we can raise for this patriotic cause. Go to Goodyear.com to join in.
There you'll find an easy way to donate and an auction where you can bid on one of these Support Our Troops tires used in tonight's race, signed by your favorite NASCAR drivers.
An awesome tire for an awesome cause. Go to Goodyear.com between now and November to be a part of history.
Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
I think when this caution comes out, there's going to be more than just air pressure adjustments on a lot of these guys. I'm seeing Boyer, Newman, even Harvick now slide back. But some of those guys in the middle there, Kyle, that were hanging in there, they had just got to the back. They're like, man, I need to get to the pits and get working on this thing.
Now had 5 different race leaders. Greg Biffle led a lap a moment ago, and Kyle Busch has now gone to the front. Lap 16 of 160 is what we're working right now, and we anticipate soon there will be a competition caution. If you're just joining us, rain moved through the area this evening, pushing this race back, and with that, a competition caution. And as you can see, it's out right now. A welcome sight for some drivers because, as Wally pointed out, it's time to go to work on their cars. As we get our first caution of the night, Kyle Busch will be scored the race leader.
And I'm, just by watching, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of cars that are tight. Most of these guys look like they're loose. Maybe some of those guys in the high line may have been a little bit tight because they're going up the track, but there's a lot of cars that are loose out here.
Yeah, and they're, I'm really surprised they're not bouncing around as bad as what I thought they were. I really, after watching the nationwide race last night, I thought these cars would be a lot more rigid. But these guys seem to have their stuff worked out. But when you see these things, it's just like you're talking about. They're not just plowing like you used to see down here. These cars, they've set themselves up to wait for the racetrack to come to them a little bit looser.
What about the leader, Phil?
He's talking on the radio to crew chief Dave Rogers that he's a little bit too free. Dave said we're going to put a little bit of air in the left rear and take a little bit of air out of the left front. He said we're going to close up that rear stagger for the rest of the race. These tires, these radial tires, have very little difference size-wise, but there's just enough that they can get maybe 1/10 of an inch.
2 drivers out of the race in the early going, Max Pappas and Dave Blaney behind the wall. The other 41 drivers still on the lead lap. And under this competition caution, they will very likely all come down pit road and work on their vehicles.
Yeah, I would say very, very likely. They want 4 tires and changes.
Kyle Busch, the race leader here. Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, the top 5 as we get to pit lane for the first time tonight. Let's go down to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, they're going to try something a little crazy here with the 16 of Greg Biffle. He was a little tight. They're going to go down a half a round on the track bar, but they're only going to take 2 tires on this stop. They don't want to get too aggressive with the car, so it's a 2-tire stop, Phil, for the 16.
Ralph, the 18 of Kyle Busch will come in for 4 tires. We talk about the air pressure adjustments. Remember, brand new race car. Never saw this racetrack till Thursday afternoon in the second practice, Marty.
The call for Kevin Harvick just came from Gil Martin, and watching everybody else for 2 tires. It'll be an air pressure adjustment and also a wedge adjustment for Harvick. Matt?
Rich Gutierrez, the gas man, already made a significant chassis adjustment on the left side. The car entry to center was awesome, but Jimmy says he needed big help on exit for the long run.
I'm really surprised with the 2-tire stops.
Kevin Harvick and Greg Biffle, the first 2 off pit road, both going with 2 tires as you see on your screen. We're 17 laps in here at Daytona.
Sunday, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series thunders into the Hawkeye State for door-to-door, lightning-fast, full-contact excitement. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Iowa, Sunday at 1:30 Eastern, only on Speed.
Start your engine.
Ask me.
Even if you think your mattress is just fine,
Ask me what it's like to get your best night's sleep every night.
why not talk to someone who's sleeping on the most highly recommended bed in America? It's not a Sealy or a Simmons or a Serta.
Ask me about my Tempur-Pedic.
Ask me how fast I fall asleep.
Ask me about staying asleep.
These are actual Tempur-Pedic owners. Ask someone you know. Check out Twitter. Try your friends on Facebook. You'll hear it all, unedited.
Ask me how it feels after 10 years.
Ask me if it's a good value. Just ask me.
There are over 4 million Tempur-Pedic owners, and they're more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand.
Ask me why I feel better every morning.
Ask me why someone who's never had an ache or a pain is in love with this bed.
Start asking real owners.
Ask me how we took the first step.
Take the first step. Call today for your free information kit with DVD. 1-800-891-9043 or visit Tempur-Pedic.com.
Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
I'm still really shocked about the 2-tire change.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying 2 tires this early in the race just to get a feel for what they think. But I think the racetrack should probably change by the time you would want to go to, later in the race. But I'm not a crew chief, so let's be real clear about that. But if I'm a driver and I was watching some of those cars out there, I'm thinking, give me 4. Let's get my adjustments. Let's get the car under me.
Comfortable.
So I am comfortable with it. Yeah. And then I'll gamble when I'm comfortable. I hate to gamble on something when I'm just not comfortable with how I feel out there. Yeah. And we saw cars that led the race at lap 7 that were running 18th at lap 15 or 16. That's how far they had fallen. Not because, and it was all about the handling at this point in time, not because they got shuffled out.
And there are a number of big-name drivers still outside the top 25. We will continue to update their progress as we continue on this run. We've wrapped up our competition caution. We go back green as we put lap 19 on the board. Among those drivers in the back, Tony Stewart, who came down pit road twice under the caution. Kevin Harvick, Greg Biffle on the front row, both of which, as we pointed out, took 2 tires when they came down pit road.
Kurt Busch got a great start, and he's just literally pushing the 16 down the straightaway.
And we saw starts like that at the end, green-white checkered at the end of the 500. The guys that got the great starts were the guy that's your teammate or the dancer behind you got a great start.
It was almost too good because Kurt Busch really laid into him going into the corner, and Biffle slid way up the racetrack, which let Harvick get back in the lead. And it looks like, to me, it looks like Biffle is still struggling. I think Biffle's going to be put in the middle here pretty quick.
That three-car breakaway at the front, Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Brad Keselowski. Kyle, you pointed out how good the Penske organization looked down here in February during speed weeks. Kurt Busch has been solid throughout the weekend, and Brad Keselowski serving notice that he came to play tonight.
See Sadler sitting there in that 19 car. That's a good run for him. He's worked his way up into third spot right there.
And that's an incredibly impressive run, because I'm telling you guys, we did the first practice on speed, and we worked the booth. Remember, he ran 2 laps. We were an hour and something into the practice, and he had run 2 laps because he hated the cars so much. Obviously, those guys worked really hard, went back through their nose, and have put something together where at least he can run and hang on to that thing.
Here, Elliott Sadler looking to the outside of Kyle Busch. Fan Subway now has breakfast. Build your better breakfast at Subway. Subway, race hard, eat fresh.
Yeah, I think he's got a really good shot to win the race.
You know, I sure could go for something to eat right now. Wait, guys, did you know Subway has breakfast? Everyone's getting dialed in now. This could get interesting. This looks like an aggressive field.
Aggressive and hungry for a breakfast made to their order.
Yeah, they're revving their engines, and the green flag's not even out yet. There's the green, and here we go. Pit crew jumps to the inside and grabs the early lead. Whoa, they're really mixing it up tough out there.
Yeah, no cautions today, though, guys.
We do not need a late race caution. There is plenty of bumping and shoving going on. And, well, now we got trouble.
There goes his shot at building a better breakfast.
Oh, and now it appears there is a problem for pit crew. Adam, he'll have to hit the pit road and get that looked at.
You just hate to see that happen.
It looks like reporter is drafting off a camera guy.
Have you ever?
No, I've never. You know, there's a lot riding on this race. A made-to-your-order breakfast sandwich with whatever you want, like a steak and cheese omelet sandwich on flatbread with jalapenos, banana peppers, spicy chipotle sauce. You name it, and build it the way you want it.
Adam, I know I'd do whatever it takes to win. How about you, Larry? Larry? Where'd he go?
Wait, is that? Wow! Welcome to the party, Larry Mack.
Looks like Larry's still got something left in the tank, Adam. But do you think he can close the deal?
Here they come to the finish. It's Larry McReynolds taking the checkered flag.
Gearheads, rise and shine and get your motor running. Weekend mornings, wake up to the Castro engine block on speed. Customs, restorations, innovations. The Castro engine block. Saturday and Sunday mornings beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern. Only on speed. Brought to you by Castro GTX High Mileage. Because the longer your engine lasts, the more it pays you back.
So what do you think?
We need his experience.
Yeah, but he has more energy.
Now you can get the best of both. Try Touch of Gray. Combs away a little gray without getting rid of it all.
I've got big plans for you.
Touch of Gray.
We're in the mood for baby back ribs for dinner tonight. Who's got them? And it has to be all you can eat.
Thanks for dropping by.
Golden Corral is the first ever to offer all the fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs you want, all on our endless dinner buffet for around $10. Only at Golden Corral.
In today's cars, there's self-adjusting cylinders, self-deploying spoilers. Why not a self-cleaning engine? Next-generation Pennzoil motor oil cleans out up to 40% of sludge. So turn your engine into a self-cleaning engine and feel the clean.
I'm hungry. What's for dinner?
Hey, little dude, dinner's my middle name. How about some hamburger helper? Oh my, but your mouth is gonna love it. And your wallet's gonna be pretty happy, too.
Now this is the deal of the day.
Hamburger helper. 1 pound, 1 pan, 1 tasty meal.
finding free NASCAR merchandise and gear just got easier. Just enter your official NASCAR hologram code at NASCAR.com/hologram for a chance to score free gear and great offers, or a VIP experience that puts you right next to the action.
Told you at the beginning of the night, qualifying was rained out here yesterday, but Tony Stewart unable to stay in his scheduled starting position inside the top 10 because he was in a backup car. Stewart's not made a lot of progress, worked very hard on his machine on their first pit stop of the night, and the defending race winner still scored back in the 30th position. Kurt Busch continues out front. Elliott Sadler enjoying his ride right behind him. And if you drift back in this group, see the bright orange car look familiar? Jamie McMurray piloted that one machine to victory lane here back in February. How they feeling about it tonight, Matt?
The first part of the race, Adam, he felt like he had probably one of the best cars on the racetrack. Much more grip than any of the cars that were racing around him. He could go on the bottom, the middle, or run the top. They made a slight chassis adjustment. He told Kevin Bonomanian, we have taken all the grip out of this machine. We're going to have to back up that adjustment we made, but he has just now climbed back into the top 10.
And everyone now chasing Elliott Sadler, who used the outside lane and some drafting help to drive around Kurt Busch. He's the new race leader. What's the story with Kurt Busch, Ralph?
Well, Adam, he says he's got a real handful out there. In fact, it's kind of interesting, Kyle and Wally, he says when he gets in behind somebody, the car tends to tighten up. When he gets out into the lead, it gets loose. In fact, it gets loose everywhere. And he said this might be a byproduct of these cars on this racetrack tonight. That's what he told his crew.
You know what, Ralph, you're exactly right. What's happening, these guys get in the corners, and it's doing different things. They're spanning out in the corners because they need the room. They can't run into the corner side by side like they used to, but these cars are a handful. You're exactly right, and it looks like it because once they get to the corners, they fan out, and they're looking for as much real estate as possible.
Those Penske cars hooking up again. This time it's Sam Hornish Jr. on the bottom lane, getting help from Kurt Busch. Watch TBS tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Cal Ripken, Dennis Eckersley, David Wells, and host Matt Weiner unveil the 2010 MLB All-Star rosters, followed by the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on TBS. Sam Hornish Jr. sideways as he tries to grab the lead. Nice save. I bet the radio chatter was interesting on that one, Phil.
It sure was, Adam. He told this crew chief, Travis Geisler, that he needed the car just a little bit tighter. And I'll say after those pictures that it's pretty evident that he needs a little bit tighter, but the car is very, very fast. He's driven his way up all the way up to the lead.
Sam Hornish Jr., a driver who has struggled throughout 2010, but has been very good here tonight. Larry looks solid.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking about Sam Hornish Jr. Right now, if you notice, there's not a car in front of him, so he's getting all that clean air on the nose, and it's really pinning the nose, and then you take someone running up behind him, like his teammate Keselowski, it's really going to magnify looseness. Until they get that thing tightened up, it's going to be hard for him to be out front lead.
Yeah, I think you're... And something else I look at, Larry, these guys don't look like they want to run right behind the 77. There's a couple of guys that got right up on the 77 like they were going to help him and saw him get loose, and they backed way off. When a guy's that loose in front of you, you do not want to make it too much worse.
In the category of what a difference a year makes, David Rudiman, at this time last season, 14th in the standings and very much alive for a playoff position. This year he's 19th, but he comes to a place where he had a great run earlier in the year, 5th in the Daytona 500, and Rudiman's been strong here this evening.
Two-car took off and went to the wall. Now you can see the more they run on these tires, the more these cars are kind of handful. And here comes a 48. I think he's probably maybe had enough.
30 laps, actually 31 since his last pit stop. What about it, Matt Yoakum?
The 2006 Daytona 500 winner making his way down pit road. Great save through the tri-oval. Keyed his mic and said, I believe I've got a right rear tire going down. Chad Canals told him just get clear, get safe, and bring it down. The right side tires are off, left side's going on. they're going to immediately start checking over those tires to see if indeed he's got one going down.
I think everybody thinks they've got a right rear tire going down right now on the racetrack.
A sport this hot calls for a beer this cold. Frost brewed Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR.
Scorching speeds, heated rivalries, hot laps, burning grills, boiling tempers, victory burnouts, and smoking hot trophy queens. A sport this hot calls for a beer this cold. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer and the official beer of NASCAR.
A pit stop for Jimmy Johnson at lap 47. Lap 48 bringing A.J. Allmendinger down the pit lane. Meanwhile, it's Sam Hornish Jr. who pulls Allmendinger's teammate around, Elliott Sadler, in the runner-up position. More on Jimmy Johnson and his stop a minute ago. Let's go back down to Matt.
And Jimmy just told Chad Canals the car is fine. And when you look at the tires that came off, indeed the right rear had started to chunk and the carcass had started to separate the center section of that tire. So Jimmy did indeed have a major tire issue going on.
We talked about the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit here at Daytona. It can be tough under green. Let's look back at Jimmy Johnson when he came down a moment ago.
Coming off on the outside, trying to come outside on you, coming outside.
That was a good move by Jeff Burton. I mean, the 48 got in there. I don't even think. See, you never saw a hand or anything come up. Normally, you're going to tell the guy behind you you're coming into pit lane. Now, Jimmy Johnson may have decided he needed to do it right at the last second. But I'll tell you what, when you're following somebody, they decide to hit pit lane before they let you know. It's close. Jeff Burton did a nice job avoiding the 48.
Now, the interesting part here, you see these two guys running together. You know what I mean? And these are the two guys that the 18, where the leaders at? Right here?
Yep.
Right here behind them. But at least these two guys can get hooked up. And the 48 has better tires, and maybe he could drag the 18, so the 18 never gets lapped. Because the 18 thought he had a loose wheel. The 48 thought he had a flat tire. So as those guys pit, they may be able to catch the cycle enough, even though they're off cycle like we saw last week with Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart came back to finish second, so it's not as bad at this stage in the race as you may think. The problem is you got the 48 and the 18 if they get lapped.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
that's the only problem.
Exactly. Those guys they've got to run hard.
The other driver that made the unscheduled stop, A.J. Allmendinger, he not so fortunate because of where he was running on the racetrack when he came to pit road. He has already lost a lap.
Yeah, these guys are going to be coming in, I think, a lot earlier than we thought because of these tire issues.
Matt Kenseth is in for his stop. Ralph?
Matt Kenseth is coming in. He's had a struggle with his car all day today. In fact, he was very concerned about the tires that came off that car in the last stop. Crew told him everything was okay. They'll change forward. He's back underway.
I tell you what, Ralphie, I just saw a tire. I don't know which tire it was, but it was down to the cord that came off that 17 car.
So Matt Kenseth, another one of those drivers that comes here under green earlier than what we would have thought the pit window would be. All the while, Sam Hornish Jr. continues to lead. Tony Stewart's working hard behind the wheel of his 14 car, but it looks like he's been working pretty hard off the track. Let's take a look.
Tony Stewart loves flame broiling like it's his job. And for one day, it is. He's working a shift at a real BK to sell the Smoky Cheddar Steakhouse XT.
Welcome to Burger King. Can I take your order? How was that?
On July 19th, see Tony work at a real BK to sell the Smoky Cheddar Steakhouse XT.
Just joining us at Daytona. One caution here this evening. It was a competition caution put out by NASCAR at lap 17. Rain prior to this race made for a green racetrack, so that the decision NASCAR made for all the teams. Other than that, we've been very clean here this evening. You see the lap leaders bottom of your screen. Harvick has drifted back in the pack after leading a number of laps early. That a result of a two-tire pit stop at lap 17.
You can see on some of these cars the handle's going off, like it's almost like a light switch.
You saw the 43 slide up in front of the 2. The 2 checks up a little bit right there, and now the 2's almost lost the draft on these guys. They're just pointing the car and aiming at a place on the racetrack right now.
Left of your screen, Elliott Sadler's been in the hunt all night long. He makes his stop. Down to the 1 pit stop with Matt.
A grip issue this past run. You can see they backed up the chassis adjustment they made on the first stop. Let's go up pit road to Marty.
Matt, a little too loose for Elliott Sadler. Half a round down on the track bar to tighten up 4 tires, and a good stop for this 19 crew.
Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Newman, Carl Edwards. Some of the other drivers making pit stops under green. See Greg Biffle, Marcos Ambrose exiting the pit lane.
These guys are going to be pretty spread out, too. You know, they're coming in and they're leaving the pit lane, and they're going to be spread out. It's not going to be like you're going to have a big pack.
Let's follow the 2 pit stop, Ralph.
Well, they're going to do 1 round of wedge, 4 tires of fuel, and an air pressure adjustment for Kurt Busch, Phil.
Ralph, they're going to go down 2.5 rounds on the track bar and put a little bit of air in the left rear as we see the 46 car smoking on the racetrack. Sam said the car is a little bit loose everywhere.
A tire issue for J.J. Yaley. Let's follow Kevin Harvick, Marty.
At the very end of pit road, be 4 tires this time for Harvick, who has said, I don't want 2 tires again in this race. 2 loose, and air pressure and wedge adjustment. Phil?
Tony Stewart was in. They adjusted on the splitter on that first round of caution flag pit stop. This time 4 tires for Tony Stewart.
Scott Speed leaving the pit lane with Tony Stewart, so there will be drafting help there. Jeff Burton is in front of Marty Snyder.
Hung in there in the top 10. Adam, he said the car was looser than they had expected on that last adjustment. He was loose, and you see him miss his pit stall. He's in Elliott Sadler stall. They have to back it up. That's going to cost him a ton of time here, especially under green flag stops. A costly pit stop for this 31 team. Up front, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front of him, pitting on pit road, said the car is way too tight. They went too far on the last adjustment. He said the front end feels so stiff. They need to work on that. They did that with air pressure and wedge for the 88 bunch.
Montoya had cycled around as the race leader, but now he will come off the banking and make his pit stop at lap 58. First, let's follow Jeff Gordon in front of Ralph.
Here comes a 24, Jeff Gordon. He gets in a little angled in his pit stop. They're going to take 4 tires on this one. He's going to be okay. Marty, they're going to make that pit stop. No chassis adjustments. As the caution comes out, Ralph, Juan Pablo Montoya sitting on pit road describes his car as snappy loose. They go down on the track bar 1 round trying to tighten up 4 tires and back out on the racetrack.
And as Montoya exits the pit lane, you see right behind him J.J. Yaley. We showed you him driving around track, the problems with that right front tire. He was able to make it to pit road, but littering debris on the track all the way around, and thus a caution thrown by NASCAR for debris on the track.
Yeah.
Let's go back and look at Kurt Busch coming to pit road for his green flag stop. Right behind him.
God, all these guys are locking up the right front like crazy.
And those are all Penske cars. All 3 of those cars are Penske cars coming down pit road, and every one of them has the front. As we followed Kurt all the way to his pit box, you see the 24 here, and I want to make a point here. There's the 37 in the pit. This is what you hate as a crew chief. You try to coordinate with the guy pitting next to you. I'll come in 1 lap, you come in the next lap. What happened here, these guys pitted at the same time, which hurt Jeff getting in the pits. If he had to continue this, he lost some time getting in because you never know when that guy's going to pull out. But you see these guys talk a lot and say, stay out 1 extra lap.
But another thing on this front brake thing, guys, you can't, as loose as these cars are, you have to have a lot of front brake, because if you even touch the brake on this place and you're loose, you are going to be spinning out. So that's why these guys have so much front brake dialed into these cars. It hurts them getting on a pit lane, but it saves them from crashing during the green flag.
Yeah, and I think that's what we saw some of Kyle Busch doing when he come in, was trying to adjust some of that out so that he didn't have those issues coming in. So he didn't come in and lock the fronts and flat spots the fronts. He wanted to lock, he tried to get as equal as he could at the time.
Hey, guys, that caution was a huge break for Kyle Busch, because it was only going to be about 6 to 8 laps before he was going to have to make another green flag stop. So this kind of puts him even with everybody. Now, we know everyone that just pitted in the last 3 to 4 laps possibly will not come back to pit road, but you've got a lot of guys like Jimmy Johnson, the 48, a lot of them back in the pack on the lead lap. I think you'll see a lot of cars pit right here, since you've got a chance and an opportunity to make more adjustments.
The free pass to Robert Richardson Jr. And there you see Kyle Busch. Let's follow up on the issue Matt Kenseth had with his tire, Ralph.
Well, we've been able to chase this down. Here it is, hidden back in here. You can see that tire. And here's that problem that Wally saw. Look at that right rear tire, Wally. They have really chewed right through this thing. In fact, they're coming back in to put 4 more new tires on for Matt Kenseth here as quick as they can get him in. Matt had asked about the tires on the first pit stop. Crew told him everything was okay. I don't suppose a crew chief would ever lie to his driver, would he, to make him feel more confident, would he?
I'll tell you, that's incredible. That really is. That to eat up the tire like that, I don't know how much adjustment you can make to fix that.
Yeah, and part of that's coming in the pits and sliding on it, but it was eat up pretty bad when you start looking at the stuff.
But that was a rear tire.
Yeah, that was a rear tire, and that's the issue. When you're hanging on that much and it's that loose.
Talked about the brake for Kyle Busch. He's getting his service now, Phil.
He is. They said they're going to have to work on the left rear stud. Remember, that unscheduled pit stop was due to a loose left rear wheel. They're going to have to work on the studs and clean up the threads, Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson, under one of those cars that pitted under this caution, chassis adjustment for the 48 as well.
Second caution of the night for debris. The race leader, Juan Pablo Montoya. We return to Daytona in a moment. You're watching wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400. A couple of other items here under caution. We pointed out this being a good opportunity for Kyle Busch to get back on cycle with other cars up front. Not as good for his brother Kurt under caution, who made a pit stop and was caught speeding. He just came back down and topped off the fuel tank, so he will be a little bit better in regard to fuel mileage than some of the other drivers, but unfortunately he has lost a great deal of track position. Phil Parsons.
Adam Sam Hornish Jr. drove from the 30th position all the way up to the lead. When he came in for his green flag pit stop on lap 56, he had a little bit of a blister on the right rear. His crew chief, Travis Geisler, said it's definitely a heat issue, but the Goodyear engineers have assured him that their tires look among the best on pit road right now.
Montoya, a pair of top 10 finishes this year in the 2 restrictor plate races. The race leader, outside of him, Jeff Gordon. And right behind Montoya, Reed Sorensen started at the back of the field tonight in a backup car that had no laps on it because of an incident here in the happy hour practice session on Thursday. I would say so far so good for Team Red Bull. Right behind him, Brad Keselowski. Those the front 2 rows, and you heard the report from Phil Parsons on Sam Hornish Jr. He restarts 6th. To the inside of him, Elliott Sadler, who's been very strong in the early going here this evening. We will complete lap 63 when drivers take the green flag and cross the start-finish line. It's time to go back at it here at Daytona.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. There's a car with a big bass on it that is slowly working its way towards the front. He just really has been playing it smart. He's got a really good race car. We saw it in practice, and Jamie McMurray, that one car, sitting right there.
Always a fine balance, Kyle, between patience and aggression when you come to a place like this. McMurray, very balanced, started 17th, and as Wally pointed out, Here we are as things starting to heat up. He's knocking on the door.
That 11 was getting ready to knock on the wall right there a little bit. But you're right. It is patience, and he's gradually worked his way up, just like he did in the 500. And I think that's the deal. These guys are a little bit aggressive on these new tires because they know they got to get their position now. Because they know, a lot of them know, my God, I don't know what my car is going to do after 12 laps. I don't know what my car is going to do after 15 laps. And we saw this pack separate in that last run, really get spread out. So these guys don't want to get spread out again.
And that, just as we say that, McMurray gets caught in the middle right there. So he's going to have to find his way out in a hurry, and he does. He gets a break there. Elliott Sadler down on the bottom, losing a couple of spots right now.
Jeff Gordon in the outside lane, the new race leader. You're watching the Coke 0400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola on TNT.
There's these footprints, so I figure that's how he fled.
These are yours, Sutton.
What?
You tracked him through the scene, damn it.
No, lock this place down.
TNT Tuesday.
Where is she?
A new kind of detective is on the beat.
Now write it down.
No more questions without an arrest.
So arrest him.
And he's like nothing you've seen before.
I'll investigate this for you if you want, but we're gonna have to go talk to your mama. He doesn't have it in him, I can tell.
Bingo, Dwight.
Bingo.
He may not always do things by the book.
Fellas?
But I trust Dwight when he's got one of his feelings.
I'd like to second that.
Me too.
Tuesday.
It's got murder, love, betrayal, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Have mercy.
Solving crime takes a little down-home justice.
I will hunt you down and I will make you pay.
And a whole lot of Southern charm.
You are but a peasant in this vast kingdom called woman.
Meet television's coolest new cop, Memphis Beat. All new Tuesday at 10 on TNT. We know drama.
When you're a part of wide open coverage on TNT, you don't miss any of the action. And unfortunately, this action involving A.J. Allmendinger bringing out our third caution of the night.
Yeah, and he just, I don't know if he came off the corner and got loose or got tapped in the rear. He just shot out of the pack right here. You see him right here, 31 behind him. He tucks down under. The 18 comes off the wall, and they just get together right there. And part of this is you see the racetrack still a little damp here. As he's sliding, and this thing begins to slide, he's in the gas trying to make it do something, but there's no grip on that wet racetrack, and he just slides into the inside wall.
Yeah, what happens is he tries to stay off the 18. You can see him cut down on the 18, and as he's cutting down, he's getting loose, and him and the 18 made contact.
It was Bobby Labonte that went right behind Allmendinger as he slid down. Watch the inside lane.
The 18 did
Being in front of you, stay where you are. Just keep coming. Caution's out. Caution's
right in there with Jeff Burton, and now the other end of this business, trying to repair the car so we can continue on. Best career finish for AJ was here in 2009 in the Daytona 500, and he had been on quite a roll lately in 2010, but he will be a driver that won't figure into the finish here this evening.
I don't think I'd want to drive that. Do you?
I don't want the spoiler that far down, but it'd be good for qualifying.
For one lap.
One lap.
Oh. Mike Bliss received the free pass and a little shot fake from Kevin Harvick and some of the others, but behind him, here they come down pit road, led by Casey Kane. He's the first to elect to get some service here. Matt?
And it's been a work in progress for the 9 team. Again, another track bar adjustment. Casey, too free on the bottom, but definitely cannot run the top. Way too free up there. Air pressure change as well.
The top 9 cars stayed on track. And there were a number of others that did as well, but that's where the break was as far as the first group that elected to pit. And you see Denny Hamlin, obviously one of the drivers that did not come down pit road under this caution. He's advanced 35 spots. When we restart, it will be the first 18 cars on the track that did not get service. The first of those that did come down pit road, Jimmy Johnson, who will restart in the 19th position. We're set to go back under the green flag as we have wrapped up our third caution of the night, a spin by A.J. Allmendinger. Gordon and Keselowski on the front row. Hamlin, Montoya, and Hornish Jr. join him inside the top 5. There's a couple of names we haven't heard much from in a while. Kevin Harvick restarts 9th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. going off 10th as we get the green flag once again here at Daytona.
Montoya's all over that 12 car, pushing him down in that corner.
Oh, wow. That's almost too far. Like I said, you got to get off a guy's bumper when you get to turning that car. The 12 didn't get a good start, but the 42 kind of helped them on that. Pushed him back right up there going down the straightaway, and he's continuing to push him.
Interesting, you see Brad Keselowski be on the receiving end of the push from Montoya. Under caution, Jeff Gordon was talking about the exact same thing, saying Brad Keselowski a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, like I said, what happens, we had a little problem there with the audio, but what happens is it's all right to lean on a guy going down the straightaway. You just got to breathe the car. You got to get off the guy's bumper, you know, before you start turning the wheel, because if you're still on the guy's bumper when you turn the wheel, you're going to turn him sideways.
Yeah, it takes a 17, 18, 21-foot car and makes it a 42-foot car. And the guy in front is turning left. Well, you still got your steering wheel pointed straight. As he turns left, you're just pushing through him, and it turns him around getting in the corner. That's why you got to breathe it a little bit and let that guy have some room to get into the corner and then go back to him.
That's basically what Jeff Gordon was saying. We didn't have the audio, and we apologize for that. But he said, tell the 12 to be careful. He'll wreck us all. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. More from him on Marty.
It's been an up-and-down night for Dale Earnhardt Jr., currently going the correct direction, though. He said earlier that they went too far with an adjustment. The car was way too tight. He said the front end is just so stiff, guys. It almost feels like there's a vibration out there. How rough the ride is out there feels like a vibration in the car. That's a pretty rough ride, isn't it, Kyle and Wally?
Yeah, it's really. But as we're talking about Dale Jr., he didn't give that 00 any room as they came up off the corner and got into him a little bit. Had to check out. And when Dale Jr. had to check up, they just freight trained him on both sides.
After inventing a drink with real Coke taste and 0 calories, Coke Zero now gives NASCAR fans an exclusive peek at Jeff Burton's pit stop.
It's Jeff Burton. I'm doing everything I can to win the Coke Zero 400 tonight, but I need your help to win another race happening online, the Coke Zero Fan 400. Go to CokeZero.com and vote for me. And listen, if you're the fan of another driver and plan on voting for him, just don't bother going online. Just sit there and watch the race.
Our wide open coverage allowing you to see Juan Pablo Montoya take over the top spot here at Daytona. One of 10 different race leaders here tonight.
Making that car pretty wide back here on the back straightaway, Montoya was.
And I'm going to tell you something, Hamlin is all over that wall going through 1 and 2. But a lot of guys are, but they're making it work. Right now, they're up there where the newest pavement on the racetrack after 30 years is right up next to the wall. Okay, and they're still using that pavement to make time. But Juan and that crowd still hammering the bottom down there. You look at where the 11. Look how high he is right there.
Almost like we're at Darlington, riding the rim around this place.
Looks more like the king up there riding where that's where they always run. He and Pearson and those guys. But he's making it work, and you see he comes off the corner. Now Montoya goes to the high side and jumps in line behind him, cuts off the 24.
Not sure Jeff Gordon was impressed with the move Montoya made there.
He probably wasn't, but here's what you watch this and you say, all right, the 11 has come from the back to the front, all on the high side, and the first thing he does when he gets to the lead is what? Go to the bottom. Yeah, you know what I mean? And he goes to the bottom to try to figure out what's there because he's not been able to use that groove to get to the front.
Tell you what, another guy's up there, 5th spot right now, who had a real ugly tire that Ralph showed us is Kenseth.
Kurt Busch, remember he was penalized for speeding on pit road under caution moments ago? He's back to the front, and his teammate, Sam Hornish Jr., going for the lead in the outside lane.
You know, that outside lane is working after about 8 or 10 laps. We saw Denny use it to go to the front, and now we see Hornish and those guys use it to go to the front.
Yeah, but the thing is, Denny kind of changed his line. He got out there up front, and then he started running the bottom. When running the highlight, got him in the lead.
Seen teammates working well together tonight on multiple occasions. We see it now. Look at that outside lane, 4 deep. Jamie McMurray in the bright orange #1, and right behind him in the target car, Juan Pablo Montoya working together out of the Chip Ganassi stables, and now Denny Hamlin starting to drift back a bit.
You know, at least you've got Hornish up there, and Hornish is staying with the girl that brought him to the dance, which is the high line. You know what I mean? He's going to make these guys go under him at some point in time, and you saw, you know, the 17 look, and when he looked, and the 48 jumped out beside of him. But he's going to make those guys drive under him.
But this is like about the same amount of laps in the run when the 77 was up front earlier. You know, it's like these guys, some of them are for the short run. Some of them, you know, their cars are better right there in the middle. And then it looks like everybody goes to junk at the end.
What do you see, Larry?
Well, what I've been watching, and I think we'll have to get close to the end of the race. We are at halfway right now to see if this is actually what's going on. But when I look at some cars back there just outside the top 20, like Ryan Newman, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, who made his way up into the top 15 before that first caution, it's almost like those guys tested the waters early to see how strong their car was. Now they're just sitting back in the weeds trying to stay out of harm's way and let the laps wind down.
You see that group of cars Larry was referring to right here.
2x2.
David Reagan, a solid racer on the restrictor plate tracks back there. Reed Sorensen, who was in the top 5 earlier.
Logano has got his hands full right there. I saw a lap earlier.
Got some help there.
Where he got loose, and he got big time loose right there. And he was up and about this. He was up around the 7th or the 8th spot.
Yeah.
About 5 or 6 laps ago, but.
Look at the 40. Look at the 18 pulls out on the 48 right here. Watch the 48 close the door on the 18 as they get to the corner. He's there. He's there. He comes over. He comes over. He comes over.
That could have been big.
Yeah, that's a little reminiscent of what the 48 did to the 24 at Talladega. Just like he didn't know he was there, and he just come over on him. The 18 lost a lot of ground. He's running back in about a lap and a half. But that's where the spotters and the drivers have to work together to say, hey, he's coming. He had a run on him, and the 18 had a run on the 48 at that time.
Missed the battle for the race lead. Sam Hornish Jr. leads it. Jimmy Johnson squeezing down on Kyle Busch. And it's that 3-car draft on the bottom that's going to have the advantage. Jamie McMurray, the 3rd one in line there.
And as a driver, I'm going to say, as a driver, that's incredibly frustrating. You see the 48 work and work and work and get himself in a position to lead, and then everybody gets in the other line, and you go back to 4th
Gates up on you.
Yeah, you hate that.
I don't know how you can come to Daytona after winning the 500 and be quiet, but McMurray has been very sneakish in getting to the front tonight, Matt.
One of the best race cars in practice. Remember, he didn't even run the second practice because that car was so good, didn't want to take a chance. They've worked the past 2 runs to get this car back to the grip level it was the very first run. Now it's just a tick on the tight side, and he can run anywhere, bottom or top.
Just saw Elliott Sadler bounce off the wall there between 3 and 4. And he had been in the wall earlier, so this is about the 2nd time.
Let's look at it one more time. Top of your screen.
He got put up there in the wall by the 00 Rudiman.
New leader at Daytona, 18 on point. Let's hear about the man that's now in the runner-up spot. Phil on Sam Hornish Jr.
Adam Travis Geisler, as crew chief, told Sam just a couple laps ago while he was leading that they were past halfway, and Sam said, let's start praying for rain then. So Sam Hornish would just as soon end her right now, but he's got some work to do. The 18 got by him.
And now he's under attack from a couple more. Jimmy Johnson with a little help from Jamie McMurray on the outside.
Hey, McMurray's car looks awfully impressive right now at this point in the race. I mean, he just seems to be able to work where he wants. The car looks like it's a little bit loose, but his car looked a little bit loose in the 500 when he won it back in February.
Clear all around.
See a great run right here. You can see he gets on the 77 car, so that car's pretty strong in a straight line as well.
Winning here, Kyle, so much about time and place, but you can make your life a lot easier as Sam Hornish Jr. squirrels around.
Well, the one got out of that because he thought it was going to be a wreck.
You saw the one just jump out of that right there. I mean, that was pretty vivid for you guys sitting at home to see how quick you have to react to see. You don't know what's going on in front of you, and he just jumps out of gas, loses like 3 positions. But
I don't think Hornish got out of the gas, but the one car did.
I think if Hornish saw that on TV, he'd come in the pits.
Yeah,
he'd come in and get it worked on.
Jeff Burton, one of the beneficiaries of McMurray sliding back. Haven't talked about Jeff much tonight. Former race winner here at Daytona. Of course, Burton had that issue on pit road where he lost a number of positions, but has been able to dig in and rally back into the top 5.
But what saved him, they talked about the 18 being saved. You know, we talked about the 18 being saved because of that caution. The caution saved Burton, too, because he was going to be in a totally different pack and a totally different race if we had come out under green. But the caution kept him in the pack, and he's found his way back to the front. But once again, we're seeing these guys, after a number of laps, get so spread out.
Kyle Busch, the man that leads them all. A sport this hot calls for a beer this cold. Frost brewed Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR.
Scorching speeds, heated rivalries, hot laps, burning grills, boiling tempers, victory burnouts, and smoking hot trophy queens. A sport this hot calls for a beer this cold. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer and the official beer of NASCAR.
Talked about Jeff Burton a moment ago and the adversities he has dealt with tonight. He is 4th right now. 6 spots behind him. Kurt Busch, who was sideways off the corner. Nice save on the 2. Let's go down to Larry McReynolds.
Well, guys, there's a lot of these drivers that are running up there in the top 8 to 12 that they elected to stay out the last 2 cautions because they pitted right before that caution at lap 58. So within about the next 4 to 8 laps, you're going to see Montoya. You're going to see Hornish Jr., Keselowski, Rudeman, Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick. A lot of those guys are going to have to make a green flag pit stop here in about the next 6 to 8 laps.
The drivers in 1st and 2nd right now. Kyle Busch and Juan Pablo Montoya last pitted under caution at lap 67. Excuse me, Jimmy Johnson pitted at lap 67. Montoya, part of that group that Larry mentioned, that did not come in under caution. Kyle Busch continues to lead here at Daytona. One of 11 different drivers that have been out front tonight. Driver 18 has led 12 circuits. Jimmy Johnson led the first lap of the night, and he is working that steering wheel as he drives to the outside.
That thing looked like it was loose getting in.
Yeah. It just rotates down in the corner. They look a lot. And if it looks like this from the TV, I can't imagine what it feels like sitting inside one of these things.
Let's find out what the situation is with Jimmy Johnson. Down to Matt Yocum.
A bunch of Chevrolets behind, trying to help him team up on the Toyota in front. But Jimmy, 10 laps ago, said the car is building toward the loose side. And then about 2 laps ago, he said this thing is definitely loose. You can definitely see when he gets in the corner, that car goes into a nice drift.
Yeah, when you watch their hands, and when they turn left into the corner, and you see their hand go way to the right, like that, that's sideways. That's loose.
And I'm on that one car is coming. He's just little by little by little. He gains a little bit getting in the corner. You see See, 31 give that 48 plenty of room right there coming off the corner. But that one car has just been making time, getting in the corner.
McMurray, 4 career wins, 3 of them on restrictor plates. He won here, of course, in February, won last November at Talladega, and just missed the restrictor plate hat trick when he finished second to Harvick in a incredible pass at the wire at Talladega a few months ago.
It's a good shot of Burton as he goes into turn 3. Just watch him work the wheel. His car doesn't look too bad.
No.
I mean, that's pretty decent.
Pretty decent. He's still in the gas. You know, you really didn't hear him kind of feather out of it or roll out of it. He stayed in it pretty good.
More on Jeff Burton with Marty.
Well, if there's a car handling well at this point, if that's possible at this point, guys, I would say it's a 31 car. He has driven his way back to the front here, and Todd Verrier told him when they were buried back in the field earlier when this restart happened, don't worry, the good handling cars will come to the front, and that's exactly what's happened for Jeff Burton. He said it's a little bit loose, but I would say one of the best handling cars here on the racetrack, and that shows on the lap times as well, guys.
Green flag pit stops underway, and all the Penske teams coming down at lap 98. Phil?
Adam, Sam Hornish is in. They're going to raise the track bar 1 round, and they're going to put a little wedge in the left rear. He was loose in, loose off, and tight in the center. The 12er Brad Keselowski is loose everywhere. The only place he can really get some grip is down on the bottom of the racetrack. When the outside line goes, he has to stay on the bottom. He can't go as well, so they're going to snug him up as well. Ralph.
Kurt Busch in the 2 car has been needing to get grip into the back of the track. It's where he's trying to get that rear end tucked down tight into the track, so they're going to lower that rear end a little bit, get him back out.
David Rudeman, the other car that pitted with those 3 Penske Dodges, and here comes Jeff Gordon, Ralph.
Well, he's got a bit of a vibration in the right rear, so they're going to work on that. They're going to bring him in here, put 4 tires, fill him up with fuel, and get Jeff Gordon back underway. Matt.
And Joey Logano's just been hanging on to that 20 machine. He said the track is losing grip, and his car freer and freer. He was running best on the bottom. Significant adjustments, Marty, for this 20 machine.
Elliott Sadler nearly slid through his pit stall, stopped at the very last second. The car still too loose. Track bar and a wedge adjustment for Sadler. Trying to tighten it up. He brushed the wall a little bit early, and a slow stop this time for the 19 bunch.
Yeah, you saw the 19, the rear tire changer, get tangled up in the... And there was a tire laying there. It didn't go where they wanted it to go, and at the same time, he got tangled up a little bit in the airline itself. But that was a good salvage stop right there.
These are scheduled green flag pit stops we're seeing, but you will see them come somewhat staggered because there are a number of drivers on various strategies. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Right behind him, Jeff Burton, Sam Hornish Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray. Here comes Denny Hamlin in for his service, Marty.
Yeah, he ran up front there for a while, Adam, but then had to fall back because he lost that high groove, as Kyle and Wally were talking about. Car still way too loose for Denny. It's an air pressure adjustment, and back behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He said the car way too loose on this run. They have not been able to hit it right on the 88, but the tires, every time they pull them off, look very good for Jr. A quick stop for the National Guard team.
We see Junior leaving the pits. We saw Harvick leaving the pits right in front of him. But at the same time, in that last shot, we saw the 1 car. He just absolutely gains getting in the corner.
Kyle Busch into the wall will bring out our 4th caution of the night. And there was no question he got turned.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. There was definitely no question there.
You all right, Kyle?
He's got his neck down before the car is even stopped. He is hot.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch leading this race. Caught a big break early after having to make an unscheduled pit stop.
And you know, that's kind of...
He's okay. He's getting out.
He's going to be looking for the guy who turned him, I believe, which is going to be the 42 car.
Juan Pablo Montoya was behind Kyle Busch, but was not on the lead lap. You remember, he had pitted under green, so...
But these guys have new tires, and these guys have... Some are on new, and some are on old. And as we see these guys... You see the 18 get the run, and they just hook bumpers right there. Wow.
How can you hook bumpers going down the back straightaway?
I'd like to see. I want to see this angle because you see one going over to him and Kyle coming up. You hook bumpers when both people are crossing each other.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? One's going left and one's going right. I'm not. That's a bad deal. But I think the 18 thought he was cleared, and I don't know what the 42 was thinking at that time. But it's going for the same place on the racetrack. But that's definitely. It always amazes me at Daytona. We have so many crashes in the middle of the straightaways. We really do. We have so many crashes in the middle of this super stretch over here. You see the 11 down below the line trying to get out of the way. And they just hook right there.
Happens virtually every time we come here. The leaders have been to pit road. Kevin Harvick just came in. He was the first car one lap down when the caution came out. He received the free pass, and a number of drivers in line for the wave around. Let's go down to Larry McReynolds.
Well, what you're looking at here, Elliott Sadler, Joey Logano, there's about a dozen of them that just had made green flag pit stops. They're going to do the wave around. There's no question. Now, when everything cycles through, the team that really came out smelling like a rose is going to be that 5-car, Mark Martin. They were on pit road making their green flag pit stop. When the caution came out, they were able to stay on the lead lap because the field slowed down enough. They're going to actually be the leader of this race.
So a big break for Mark Martin. And right behind him in line, Montoya, who was racing to stay on the lead lap with Kyle Busch when the leader got turned going down the back straightaway. Brad Keselowski, Sam Hornish Jr., Jeff Gordon, and Kurt Busch, the other drivers in that category. And then there's Jeff Burton. He was leading the race when the caution came out. He came down pit road. 8th is where he is scored right now. So as Larry McReynolds pointed out moments ago, one of the big benefactors of the caution, Mark Martin, right place, right time. He was making his pit stop under green when the caution came out. Works out nicely because he is the race leader. And a number of other drivers using this caution to take advantage of the wave around. Among them, Elliott Sadler, Joey Logano, Paul Menard, Marcos Ambrose, David Rudiman, Ryan Newman, Dale Earnhardt Jr. When we get the green flag, there will be 34 cars on the lead lap. The first not on the lead lap, Denny Hamlin. And we will get the green as we put 110 laps on the board.
And Mark chose the outside for the restart. I think that's the first time we've seen that tonight.
4 cautions, but now we are back under green at Daytona. Wally pointed out Mark Martin is the race leader, choosing the outside lane. These double file restarts. The leader does have his choice. Looked like Martin a little sideways there.
Yeah, he was getting hit pretty good there with, from Hornish in the 77 car.
3 Penske cars inside the top 6.
Yeah, these guys have been very impressive tonight.
Montoya's look solid as well. This lap, though, going to be led by Mark Martin. He becomes the 14th different leader. He led 4 laps under caution prior to leading that green flag lap. Be interesting to see as this run continues what happens in that outside lane. Throughout the night, as you see Montoya and Keselowski work good on the low lane, but throughout the evening, that high lane, as the run has continued, has gotten really quick.
But it seems like the Dodges they're really strong down the straightaways. I mean, those are the cars that are doing all the pushing, it seems like.
Yeah,
if they can get all lined up as teammates, they may go somewhere.
Yeah, they are pushers. That is for sure. It's funny when you come to places like this, you get cars that can lead and you get cars that can push. And these Dodges have pushed people to the front. You know, the Penske group has pushed a lot of people to the front. They're going to get lined up right here in a minute where it's going to be 1277 and the 2. Mark, you know, started on the pole. Mark's dropping, but Mark's really not been a factor in the first part of this race. If we look at the top 10 or 15 cars, Mark's not been there.
More on Mark Martin with Marty.
Yeah, considering he spent the first third of his race trying to convince guys that he wasn't just hanging out in the back for no reason at all. Mark has really struggled with the handling of this race car all night long. Extremely loose. He told Alan Gustafson before the restart, I'll do my best to keep it up here, but I'm not promising anything, guys.
I can tell you right now, he's looking for the back of that pack as fast as he can get there because he is out of control at this point.
Yeah, Mark is a phenomenal driver, no doubt about it, but you cannot drive that car. He sailed that thing off in turn 3 there and was sideways. I mean, that's as sideways as I've seen any car all night long.
It's like riding a bicycle on the freeway. Mark Martin pedaling in the wrong direction. That's opened the door for Jeff Gordon to go back to the point in that outside lane.
See Clint Boyer there. We haven't seen much of him tonight. He's been struggling with handling issues.
But you know, at the end of the 500, we go back as we got to this point in the 500, and you get down to it, the Childress cars were there, the 31, the 33, the 29, and Boyer was a factor in that race. Boyer felt like he had one of the fastest cars.
And look who's right behind him, Tony Stewart.
And you know, Tony and those guys,
Kenseth sideways off the corner. What a save.
That was not a wreck. I have no idea how that wasn't a wreck.
That is phenomenal. I don't think you can overemphasize how phenomenal that was, because when you saw that smoke, he was headed down the racetrack. We got to see that one again.
Yeah. As Kenseth was making that save, Jeff Burton able to get around Jeff Gordon for the race lead. Here it is again.
He just got loose and he hung on, and I'll tell you what, everybody behind him did a great job too.
Great job. You look at the 1 car and the 9 car, they all checked up. Everybody behind them checked up and gave him plenty of room to save it. I'm telling you, man, that's amazing.
Riding with Tony Stewart on the inside lane. There's Kenseth by the wall.
Now, clear. Everything's good. Be safe.
This should be a good angle.
This should be a great angle.
Hello.
Tony Stewart right there is looking in the mirror, thinking there's a caution, and they just eliminated half the pack.
Let's get more with Matt.
Go inside.
And
clear low. Clear them.
That save even impressed Jimmy McMurray. He came on the radio and said, man, that was unbelievable. And Spotter said 10 for it.
Yeah, hey, I hope, Matt, when Tony gives out the Stewies at the end of the year, his awards, that gets an award for the save. He must have a flat tire. He must have some issue here. You see Matt slowing down, getting behind the pack.
Yeah, that may have what put him up there to begin with a couple laps ago.
The 09 500 winner has certainly had his fair share of problems here tonight.
You saw him weaving a little bit as he came down the pits.
Ralph?
He's been screaming about a flat tire. His brakes are glowing hot inside those tires, too. He's screaming about flat tires. Takes 4 new ones. He's underway.
He took 2, I think, on that one, did he?
He took 2. I'll tell you what, that right front, when they pulled that right front off, he obviously run down the back. Oh!
And here's a big one. David Reagan in the wall. McMurray and Truex get a piece of it.
Wow. Too bad a couple of real good race cars that were running up front up there most of the day are now done.
A break for Kenseth. We just made that pit stop under caution. We look at what happened once again.
Reagan gets just dead sideways loose, and I'm sure these guys just stack up behind him. Yeah, Jamie McMurray had nowhere to go, and neither did Truex. No. Those were 2 innocent victims of that crash. But again, at Daytona, when you get a guy that gets sideways or crashes in front of you, most of the time somebody else gets involved.
And I hate to say this, but that's almost exactly the accident that happened in the first practice session with Reagan. With David Reagan, he goes in the corner. He gets almost the same spot. He turns down into the corner. He took out the 18 and a couple of cars in that one that were involved in that accident. But that was, I mean, he just turned in the corner. And when he turned in, it just turned out from under him.
These guys, caution of the night.
These guys did a great job behind him. You see, as these guys, the 77 gets by, he's sideways right there, catches that.
Yeah, this is usually a 15-car wreck.
Yeah, these guys did a great job. But I think everybody's driving a lot farther ahead tonight than what they usually are because they're expecting this. You see these guys down on the apron going back up and forth. Joey Logano, great job of avoiding that.
And behind these guys, Casey Kane trying to get slowed down to avoid the accident, got a piece of the wall.
And he
couldn't
couldn't go down. There was nowhere for Jamie to go. There was cars on the low side. So
Okay, you're clear low. They're wrecking. Stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Get low, 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 low.
Guess he wanted him to go low.
I think he wanted him to go low, but I mean, when the guy's screaming at you, you're doing all you can. You know what I mean?
Message was delivered. Not sure if it was received. 40 laps to go. We told you Steve Park and David Strimmy had enjoyed some time at the front of the field. They have made their pit stops, so that cycles Tony Stewart to the front of the field. And he took 2 tires on that cycle of stops to gain some track position. It did not work earlier in the evening when, ironically enough, Kevin Harvick did it as the race leader. We'll see how it pays off for Smoke here.
Can't imagine it will. I mean, it will for a little while.
Yeah, it will for a little while. That's exactly what. With 40 to go, I can't imagine it will. You know, with 10 to go, I'm all for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we saw Harvick and those guys make it last for a number of laps. But, you know, the track position Tony had gained just on his own, just by driving around people, was pretty good.
32 cars on the lead lap. We will get the restart with 39 laps to go. Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick on the front row. Carl Edwards, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch in the top 5. Boyer, Keselowski, Jeff Gordon, Montoya in the top 10 as well. We are back green at Daytona. As they start to gain speed here at Daytona, we pass along that David Reagan, who was involved in our 5th caution of the night, has been released from the infield care center.
That's such a cool shot right there.
It is.
When they're running 2x2 at 180 miles an hour, that's just a cool shot.
Oh, 2 pushing the line there.
Yeah, if you
he made it work.
Yeah.
If you go below that line and advance your position, it is a penalty unless you give it back. He flirted with it, but I think he was in bounds.
I think Carl wished he wouldn't have let him get down there, because Carl's going to lose a lot of spots there in that 99 car.
Tony Stewart gets those 2 tires, gains the track position, and now he leads with help from Jeff Burton. And as we watch this, we hear from Martin Truex Jr., involved in an accident a moment ago.
Yeah, Adam, he's down here. Guys are working on his car. All right, Martin, what's your take on what happened out there?
I'm not real sure. It was it all happened in front of me, so, you know, when I got there, all I seen was the 6 up there sideways and coming down the track and all checked out. You going down into 3, you committed wide open. You can't, you just can't slow down. So we had a good car. Our Napa Toyota was running good. We got, when Kyle got wrecked there in the backstretch, we hit a piece of debris and had to pit and got us in the rear. And that's, you know, if it wasn't for that, we'd probably never even been in the wreck. We'd have been ahead of it. But it's just the way it's been going for us lately. We've had fast cars and just can't seem to get to the end. Can't seem to catch any breaks. And it's just a shame for all these guys working so hard. This car was really, really good. And we were just really biding our time all night and running around the top 10, just cruising. So we're going to the front right there when it all happened, but it's all for naught now.
Talked about the Penske cars and their success tonight. 3 of the top 4 out of the RCR camp, including Jeff Burton, who was leading, until Tony Stewart got some help from Boyer on the outside. Lane management has been key at the front of the pack tonight.
Yeah, but it's really hard to know where to go. You know, Burton was on the outside, cut across the tail of the 14 and took the inside line, and I really thought that Harvick, and Harvick is pushing him now, that Harvick would push him away, but the next thing you know, Boyer pushes the 14 back.
But I think you got to start getting into this. 36 to go, you got to start looking for your teammates and your friends. You got to start positioning yourself right now for the end of the race.
Let's hear what they're saying down in Tony Stewart's pit. Phil?
Guys, we documented that Tony Stewart only took 2 tires on that pit stop. Darian Grubb-Crucci said we only had 7 laps on the left side tire, so thought it was a good gamble to get some track position earlier before that caution. Tony said, I'm really driving this thing for all it's worth, so Darian decided to do a little strategy to get him up front.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's a good point, Phil. We didn't realize that, so that does change things a little bit.
Yeah, that changes everything you and I were talking about.
Right.
You know, that's that's not a two-tire stop. You know what I mean? If you've only got 7 laps on those tires, that makes a lot of sense.
You're watching the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola on TNT. Goodyear has special tires in tonight's race to launch their Support Our Troops initiative. Here are Sam Hornish Jr. and Kurt Busch.
We all know that NASCAR trusts Goodyear. And tonight, every car is racing on Goodyear's special Support Our Troops tires.
It's exciting to see a company like Goodyear use their sponsorship and their great product to get fans excited about helping out.
Go to Goodyear.com to make a donation or bid to get your hands on one of the awesome Support Our Troops tires used in tonight's race.
Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
Been a quiet night for Clint Bowyer. He's the 3rd car in line on the outside right now, chasing down a perhaps run at the title in September. He's in the thick of things as far as the chase is concerned. How's he feel about things, Matt?
The game plan between he and his teammate Jeff Burton, Adam, before the restart was to work together up top and then get to the bottom as quickly as they could. But Mike Dillon couldn't get him down there quick enough. The hole closed up, so he's stuck on the outside, still trying to work his way to the bottom.
Yeah, there are a number of drivers in the top 10 that have had some kind of problem, either tonight or throughout the weekend. And here they are as we go down the stretch, 33 to go, and they're players. I mean, Jeff Burton slid through his pit earlier. Tony Stewart, of course, in a backup car, started at the back of the field. Kurt Busch speeding on pit road. I guess the cream does, in fact, rise to the top at a place like this.
You've seen a lot more aggressive driving right here. Wow, 4 abreast.
4 wide. They make it work. Kurt Busch getting aggressive.
Wow. So 33 to go, that is aggressive. Oh.
Yeah, the 2 cars hanging on. But these guys are, you're seeing it. You're seeing a lot more mirror driving right now, defensive driving than we've seen all night. Getting down to the end, and everybody's looking to try to stay in that top group.
Tony Stewart's got to be feeling good as the race leader because they're 3 wide behind him.
Well, we haven't seen this all night.
To avoid the mess.
I can't imagine they'll stay 3 wide too long.
Harvick slides to the outside lane. He's going to follow his teammate Clint Bowyer. Let's get more with the point leader. Marty?
Yeah, Adam, this is the same Kevin Harvick that took the lucky dog a while ago. They drove from that up to 4th, made it from 4th to 2nd on the last stop. The car, terrific. Kevin actually told his spotter a moment ago, I actually don't want to be on the top, but I'll go help Bowyer. I would rather be on the bottom. If he can go to the bottom, that would help me out a bunch.
I'm going to say this. There were comments made between these guys. Bowyer felt like that he needed to help Harvick in the 500, and it cost him the 500. So I think when it gets down to time here, these guys may be dancing with each other right now. They may get you to that last lap, but they're not going to get you to the checkered flag.
Yeah, check the shot out of Tony Stewart. You'll see him looking over. He's looking at the mirror a lot. He's got his left hand blocking right there. But these guys are checking the mirror out a lot more than they have all day. And boy, this is how much you wrestle these cars at Daytona. Now this track will be a lot different after they pave it, and they resurface it. But that's what it's like driving here.
Yeah, that's a good shot right there, man, because you see the intensity in his eyes as he's looking out.
Hear about these NFL players that crave the hot tub day after a game? Some of these drivers may be relaxing tomorrow. Man.
That's a left.
Yeah,
right.
and wait a minute. That's a good handling car.
Yeah. He's running up front. Think about the guy that's running in the back.
Clint Bowyer led that last lap. The 18th different driver to lead here tonight. Look at that. 3 of those 4 cars in the outside lane owned by Richard Childress. He's had a lot of success at this racetrack over the years. Reed Sorensen giving that 83 car as good a run as we've seen in quite some time.
Wow.
He's behind Tony Stewart in the bottom lane.
That 2 car got a run through the triangle there and just with a little bit of help from that 29 and just blasted around the 33.
Kevin Harvick pushing Kurt Busch. And look at him pull away as he gets out front.
Yeah, I think the spoiler really creates that draft sensation where you're able to really draft up on somebody. You know, we saw it at Talladega, the way the 29 drafted up on the 1 and then could use the slingshot around him. We're seeing a lot more of that right now with these guys. They'll draft up on those guys. The spoiler creates just enough of a pocket of air where it pulls you up to the car in front of it, and you can draft around.
How does Kurt Busch feel with 29 laps to go, Ralph?
Well, the thing about Kurt Busch is trying to decide when you're going to be aggressive. He talked earlier this week about days when he's patient on the super speedways, he tends to do better. When he gets aggressive, he says he tends to lose spaces at the end of the race. The point is, at some time, you're going to have to get aggressive if you're going to want to win this race. So, Kyle and Wally, how do you decide when to be aggressive?
Well, you know, Ralph, and he talked, we visited with Kurt earlier this week, and he talked about that. He said it again tonight when we talked to him. He needs to stop being so nice. He feels like he's being too nice, especially at the end of these races. So he's going to have to be aggressive. I mean, if he's in a position where he can win this thing in the last couple of laps, it's got to be a take no prisoners deal.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Going 3 wide down into turn 3 a minute ago and hammering it through turns 3 and 4, that was an aggressive move. And I think, you know, and that's almost one of those things where it builds confidence in him, because he runs through that corner and he says, okay, I can make it here. I can make this thing stick. So he'll be a little bit more confident to try that and be a little bit more aggressive if he has to use that move.
Well, that 20 car back there, I've seen it twice. He is just sideways on the exit of each corner.
It's Joey Logano leading that second pack in that bright orange Home Depot Toyota. You saw Jeff Burton drive around Kevin Harvick, his teammate returning the favor. The point leader to the inside as they come off turn 4. Burton, though, with a bit of an advantage through the tri-oval. Jeff Burton led that lap, the 42nd lead change of the night. What about the 31, Marty?
Adam, they've had a terrific second half of this race. After he slid through the pit stall earlier on, they've made one adjustment to this 31 car. That was half a pound out of the right rear tire because Burton said, I'm a little bit too loose. Terrific run for him, but lately he told me we haven't had any luck. He said, we've been here in the top 5 late in races. We've had a chance to win races, but something has always kept us from winning a race lately. Someday it's going to happen, maybe even tonight at Daytona, guys.
I tell you what, guys, the one thing that I'm looking, they all pitted on lap 118. That's 42 laps to go. Now, it would be a far-out shot that we will go caution-free to the end of this thing, but that puts all of these guys just right on the outside of that window of being able to make it. Here's what I also see when I look at our top 10 guys, with the exception of Kurt Busch in the 2, Kevin Harvick in the 29, almost everybody up there is looking for either their first career win or their first win of 2010.
Can you say hungry? The Coke Zero Fan 400 happening right now online.
Trouble.
And there it is. David Strimmy goes around.
You okay there, David?
6th caution flag of the night.
I got loose either. I don't know. Something happened there. That was pretty big.
That's Robert Richardson Jr. sliding through the grass.
And everything Larry just talked about just went out the window.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's the way it goes.
1,000.
And that's the way it goes. And that's what happens with these things. You know, you try to figure and you try to calculate, and this is already in progress. You see, he's already he's already loose. He gets down on the apron, goes back up the racetrack from just, and that's just correcting. You're trying to catch the car at that point in time. These guys did a really good job of avoiding him right here.
Oh, somebody just got into him right there.
71 of Mike Bliss able to get through unscathed, but Robert Richardson Jr. not so lucky.
No.
Robert just got caught in the right rear as Strimmy came back down the racetrack.
Good to see David Strimmy outside the race car.
And you heard Strimmy say, I don't know what. You know, he started to explain it, and then he's like, I don't know what.
And after he's looking around, he's trying to figure out what, you know, he said, man, did a tire go down? Did a wheel come off or what?
Yeah, but let's be honest. Kyle Busch came in and said he thought he had a loose wheel. You saw Matt Kenseth, one of the best drivers out here, come in, think he had a flat right rear. So these guys, this racetrack's just so slick and so rough right now. It's giving these guys a feeling sometimes that they've got an issue.
Yeah. Do we have a lucky dog on this one?
Kevin Conway. Kurt Busch, the race leader. He was a big gainer on pit road moments ago when he came in at lap 137. Kevin Harvick started this race on the pole as the point leader after qualifying was rained out here yesterday, and using that #1 pit stall selection to his advantage, he picked up some spots in that exchange a moment ago as well. Sam Hornish Jr. has been strong throughout the night. He will restart third. Clint Boyer in the top 5, as well as Jeff Gordon. And this 6th caution of the night brought out when David Strimmy and Robert Richardson Jr. were involved in an accident heading to turn 4. David Strimmy, we showed you out of his car, was obviously okay, and Robert Richardson Jr., we just got a report, has also been released from the infield care center. How about that? 43 lead changes tonight. And David Strimmy has also left the infield care center and is doing fine. How about that 77 car tonight, Phil? Hornish looking good.
Adam, he was just reminded by a spotter, said, you know who you have in front of you. Let's be a good teammate now. Let's work together. We know the RCR cars are going to line up on the outside, so let's work together out here.
You got those 3 RCR cars on the outside, as Phil pointed out.
Yeah, you got the Hendrick cars right there down at the bottom as well.
Right behind the Penske guys. We'll see who is team loyal on this restart.
But that's what I'm saying. And we've been saying all along about dancing partners and everything else. This is where you've got to line up with your guys, and you've got to stay with it. Even if it looks like the other line may be better right now, you've got to hang with your teammates.
The lights have gone out on the pace car. The restart will come with 19 laps remaining in the Coke Zero 400. Talked in the opening laps after a 90-minute rain delay about the anxiety level for these drivers.
Now
any change of pace right now with 20 to go?
It's definitely up right now because you are getting down, and you're not sure what everybody else is going to do. And you know, it's going to get crazy because, like I said, everybody starts mirror driving worse now than you've seen the whole race.
And the thing is, we've gone 19, 20 laps to go. These guys all have good tires now.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to get to that stage in this run where they're out of control the last 10 or 12 laps of the run.
And they're all on a level playing field, something we haven't always seen throughout the night. We're about to find out what's around the next corner in this race at Daytona. Green flag back in the air. 19 laps remain.
I think Kevin got what he wanted.
Yeah.
They just weren't as strong as those 2 bottom cars. Because Boyer looked like he was right on his bumper and just laid on him, just really knocked him up there. Just kind of tried to push him.
Making it work now.
Here they are.
Well, we got problems in the back of the pack. Elliott Sadler, and it looked like Matt Kenseth. Perhaps, and there's Mark Martin on the inside of the track.
Yeah, and they've run into somebody or something's thrown up.
See the caution out for the 7th time.
Both ends of that thing.
Something we should point out that Tony Stewart, who's been a yo-yo tonight, started at the back of the field, worked his way up, led some laps. He's another driver now at the tail end of the pack, being scored 23rd. Here's a replay of what happened. You ride with Tony Stewart.
Wow. You know, and the one thing about it could have been a lot worse, but they really weren't up to speed completely.
No, Matt and the I don't know if Matt and the 5 got together or the 5 turned left, because Matt goes up. You can see the right rear corner where he slammed the wall, and the 5 comes down on the bottom. and everybody kind of drives between them. There's the 18 all knocked in. Maybe the 5 got into him.
And the 16, Greg Biffle, looked like he might have also trying to avoid the accident, got a piece of the wall.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It was already in progress, and it's hard to, when you look at the damage on 3 different cars and you try to put them together like a puzzle, it's really hard to tell where it started or how it ended up.
Could it be a night for an underdog? As we get set for the restart, we'll be at 15 to go, and Sam Hornish Jr.
You got to give a call
Reed
out
Sorensen
to Reed Sorensen
in row 3.
car.
It's incredible.
The Red Bull cars have needed something to happen this year. This is so far this is a great run for them.
And it wasn't long ago we were talking about Casey Kane avoiding an accident, getting into the wall. He will restart 8th. Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer on the front row. Green with 15 laps remaining in the Coke 0400.
To the top. So now you got 3 children's cars, nose to tail.
And that inside lane made up of the Penske Dodges. In fact, 3 of the 4 are there. 3 of those 4 cars are Penske cars, rather. Kurt Busch, Sam Hornish Jr., and the man in the middle, Jeff Gordon, separating Greg Keselowski from his teammates. David Rudem, another driver in the top 10 that we should give a call to.
I'm going to tell you, 14 to go. It's impressive to see the children's cars just run like this. You saw it. See Burton pull out, though. You know, these guys down there running 3 first, second, third, and they pull out on each other.
Harvick looked like he wanted to slide down in line behind Burton. Thought better of it. Stays with Boyer, his other teammate. And they lead in the high groove.
I think Burton's
for now.
I think Burton's decided he wants to win the race.
You know what I mean? He's not playing by the team rules any longer.
I'm telling you, because, I mean, there you were 3 in line, everybody behind you that way, and he pulls out. But he pulls out because he feels like that's the only way he's going to get to the front. He's got to pass his teammates.
What do you think, Larry?
Hey, guys, I worked for Richard Childress for 4 years. He had 2 simple rules. You don't help someone beat your teammate, and for Pete's sake, don't wreck your teammate.
I got to believe RC's a nervous wreck right now. His car's running good, but very close together on the track.
Well, they can block the track right now if they wanted to.
Oh,
I'm telling you. Oh, hang on, Jeff Burton.
Burton up into Hornish.
He's going to come back up.
And now the big one.
There it is.
7, 8, 9 cars involved, many which were running inside the top 10.
That's the whole field, isn't it?
That's the whole field.
And look at that. Nowhere to go.
And these guys were trying to avoid the 2 coming back up on the racetrack, and the first group that saw them check up, and everybody runs in behind them. That is massive right there. That's incredible. I don't think I've seen a wreck like that at Daytona.
That's a long time since I've seen that many cars in a wreck.
There was a Busch race or a nationwide race down here in turns 3 and 4, and they piled up about 30 of them down there one time. These cars, that was wicked.
Mark Martin got a piece of the action. You see Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Saw Reed Sorensen driving through.
Wow.
And like Kyle said, watch the 2 car. Everybody's expecting the 2 car to come back up the racetrack because that's what happens. When you get in the grass, you're coming back. He just goes diving down here after he gets clobbered by the 31. The 83, okay, this started already behind, but the 83 got turned.
But they see that going on in front of them, and they're all jockeying for position to avoid that. And it's that chain reaction accident. You know what I mean? Look at the cars, man.
There's a lot of cars in that accident.
Menard did a great job. He got up on the high side and kind of got around them. But these guys,
all these cars have damage here.
You see the first group when you don't pay attention to what the 2 cars doing. Watch everybody behind them because this is where the wreck.
Well, see what happened. The 83 checked up, the 12 checked up, and it looked like Montoya got into the back of somebody. And but there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's just like you said, it's a chain reaction. There's a 5 car came in. on fire.
That was
see Mark climbing out right there.
You see some of his crew members running over to help the Lowe's guys come over and get him out. That's pretty cool right there, man. Mark was already piling out. You can see he's unhooked.
And the safety crews were actually coming from the garage area to help extinguish the fire. It's been a rough night for Mark Martin. So one more time we look at the accident that happened with 12 to go.
Yeah, the 12 and the it looked like I don't know how they got together, but the 83 and the 12 were at the front of that pack. And look at these guys. They're packed in there. Montoya's headed backwards, and you can't see. I mean, they kind of slide out of the way, but they're 4 deep and packed on top of each other, and they're still coming in behind them. You see the 12, you see the 42, you see these guys.
And there's just nowhere to go. I mean, there's no openings on the racetrack whatsoever.
Nowhere to go. And you can't imagine sitting at home driving into that at 170 or 80 miles an hour, getting up to speed, but driving into that and not being able to know left or right. And the spotters are way over here. They can't see. They can't tell you where to go either.
This is Jeff Burton.
Still outside. 2 pushing you now. Middle of 3. 3. Clear low. Got another wreck, another wreck, another wreck. You're clear. Watch it, watch it.
Gordon gets through
that.
Come
on. Caution's been out on 8 different occasions. Just cleaned up a red flag that involved virtually half the field. And it appears this time we will get the green with 8 laps remaining. Clint Boyer trying to work his way into the chase. Kevin Harvick behind him, his teammate, the point leader, trying to get some bonus points for the chase. Edwards looking for his first win of the year, and David Rudiman doing the same on the inside lane. Some drivers out front that you would expect to be there at this stage of the race. Some of the others playing the underdog role. Getting ready to roll. We got 8 laps to get it done, and it begins right now.
That inside row with Carl Edwards and the 00 and the 9, we've not seen those guys all night long. And that position, Carl's had a good run, but we've just not seen him up front.
Elliott Sadler quickly pulled out of line. Drops in behind Sam Hornish Jr. As our teammates on that outside lane. A Cheerios car driven by Clint Boyer, the 33, being pushed by Kevin Harvick.
I'm going to tell you, that inside line's kind of hanging with these guys. But we've seen it all night with new tires. The inside line can hang for a few laps.
It's really all, it's a lot about pushing right now as far as pushing each other. When the green flag dropped, the outside line, even Gordon was pushing the 29, and the 29 was pushing the 33. You got Kurt Busch is sitting right there in that 2 car. I really thought he'd be struggling.
I thought he would just be, with that valence the way it was, with the splitter where it was, and the way he went down across. He did a great job of saving that thing, just from the drivability of him driving the. And look at it suck up on the 24 right there. Obviously, it's still getting. It's got something, you know.
I think he got a push on the 31 there, coming off of 2.
The 00 really doesn't look like he can hang with the 99, and it's kind of broken the inside line there. People are trying to get in that outside. You see the 9 car jump to the outside.
Carl Edwards trying to get forward their first win of the year. Paying the price on the inside lane. Here's Kurt Busch pulling out of line.
Kurt knows with 6 laps to go, he's got to make something happen. He's got to get in position for somebody to push him and push him back up there. Now, the trick's going to be if somebody falls in behind him. If the Chevy guys just fall in line like they are on the outside, his only help is the 77 that just went by him, and you see Kurt.
Yeah.
And that's just getting in. Wait, what did Kurt say? You get impatient. When you get aggressive, you lose some ground. He got aggressive there and lost some ground.
But this is also a time where you start eliminating guys.
Kurt Busch went back to the high line. Yeah. And his teammate Sam Hornish Jr. there trying to slide in the 77. Can't get it done.
And Hornish was 4th just a minute ago. And now all of a sudden, Hornish is back here at the back.
3 Chevrolets have pulled away with 4.5 laps to go. Boyer leads, Harvick second, Jeff Gordon, And then another Chevrolet, Jeff Burton, who you see pulling out of line there in that Caterpillar Chevy.
And that's impressive that he's worked his way back up there, because he started at the back. Junior's dropped to the back of this pack. Junior must have a little bit more damage than from that little bit of a hit that he took than what we thought he did. You see him right there.
He gets up in the wall here just a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit more damage there than what we anticipated, too. I'm going to tell you, this is going to get good right here, because all these guys need a win. Need a win, man. Need a win bad.
4 laps to go.
But it's really like you've got to separate the Childress cars. You know, the 24, the 9, and the 99 really have to work together if they're going to beat the Childress team.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, Jeff Gordon did something right there. He separated those 2 cars. He put himself in position. Now, is somebody going to go with him? Yeah. He didn't need anybody to go with him.
He just went by himself.
He got a shove, and he's there.
He's got to get up there.
He's got to get up, man. I thought he would have got up before that.
Yeah. Those magical words from his spotter.
Wow.
All clear. Jeff Gordon on the point with 3 to go at Daytona.
Now,
he's got trouble behind him because he's got the 2 Childress cars, and wherever Boyer goes, Harvick is going to go with him.
The best part is we can sit here and run our mouth all night long, but you can't guess what these guys are going to do. You know what I mean? Because they're sitting there.
Well, the 24 is going to start blocking.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
That's good. The 24 is going to, but you know, you got Harvick here who needs or wants to win. You got the 33 who needs a win. You got Casey running 4th there, who's put himself back in position. And I mean, who they going to go with? That's going to be the thing. Who they're going to, and you hear these guys, stay hooked up. We're going to get him. We're going to get him. Let's stay hooked up.
Jeff Gordon, the king of restrictor plate racing. He's won more than any other. 12 times he's gone to victory lane. 6 right here at Daytona. 2 to go, and he has the race lead.
I think you got to wait. I don't know where. I would wait until the white flag. If you had a partner,
if
you can wait late.
If you had a partner, you know. But the thing is, the thing that gets you with this package is,
white flag, 90 right on you. 90 right on you.
Maybe now, because you had a run.
There they go. Clint Boyer pulls out of line. Harvick pushes into the lead. Kane coming through. Here comes Kurt Busch. They freight train Jeff Gordon. Off of turn 4, they'll get the white flag this time.
It's hard to figure.
Trouble.
Hornish out of trouble. He hits the wall.
Big wreck behind us. Come to the line.
And there goes Kurt Busch.
Come on. You're clear. Come on.
The leader did not take the white flag, meaning we will get a green-white checker finish.
There ain't anybody to have a green-white checkered finish with. Boy, 19 went in the wall hard. He got turned, and boy, he went in hard. Boy, 77 went in pretty hard, too.
Yeah. It's been a great bit of this night. Inside the top 10 to the 77. Nothing to show for it.
You heard him say, check your oil pressure, man. That was.
Coming to the white flag.
Looks like the 2's drifting up, the 0.
Oh, that thing.
77 just got in there in the middle and couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, it's go time.
It's go time,
man.
I
mean, 2 laps to go. You know, if you see a hole there, and you've got to run, you've got to try to fill it.
You see him, he gets down in there, and he realizes, okay, right here I'm loose. I catch it. I get into the 2 car, and he ricochets, and he comes back and takes the 2 out. And poor Kurt thought he was safe at that point in time. These guys behind him did a really good job of avoiding. You see, I think it's the 99 that goes down pit road. He's getting ready to turn right here and head down pit road. These guys hit pretty hard. He's got to be disgusted. You know, he's bounced off everything all night long and still had a shot at having a good run and ran good early in the race. You know, we talked about where they're going to make a move. It's hard to guess with these guys because of the spoiler. This is something they haven't had here, and we saw the move made within 300 yards of the start-finish line at Talladega. It was in a different place than it had ever been made or than it had been made in a lot of years. So this is a little bit different.
2 of the drivers involved in this, our 9th caution of the night. Elliott Sadler and Sam Hornish Jr. both had hard hits.
I mean, you got
both have been taken and released from the infield care center.
Yeah, it's got Speed up there. Steve Park is up there.
Park.
Conway's up there.
Robbie Gordon.
Robbie Gordon's up there. Mike Bliss is sitting at 13th spot. There's a lot of these guys are going to have some great finishes tonight that haven't had much luck this year.
And that's a good run for Tommy Baldwin and those guys.
Yeah,
and
they
Steve Park
needed
to be
it.
able to come back. I mean, that's financially and point-wise for some of the things that these guys have done.
Daytona, the place where it always seems to happen. And tonight we get an overtime finish.
The late wave around, isn't it?
It's Paul Menard driving around the field.
Either a late wave around or
he's getting the green.
He's the lucky dog because he's going to be in a totally different place on the racetrack when everything happens next time.
He may win it.
Daytona, a place of uncertainty. This field been thrown a lot of curveballs tonight. The green-white checker finish could provide even more fireworks on this 4th of July. Back under green, overtime at Daytona.
Good jump in that outside line right there that time.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Gordon wants to go.
Yeah, Jeff's going with him. I think Jeff's
He
doing
needs to pull down.
I think Jeff's doing to the 33 what the 29 won to 33.
Oh, up on the high side.
Oh!
Gordon getting aggressive, going to the outside of Clint Boyer.
He's going to have a good run, too.
That's a big move by Jeff right there.
Wow, he just drove right around him. Harvick inherits the lead in that bottom lane, help from Kane.
Oh, wow, he gets popped by Boyer, almost turns Gordon in the wall.
Gordon able to keep it off the wall. On the bottom lane, getting help from Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You got the 24 and the 9 on the outside. You got two guys that's not been there. This is going to be white flag right here.
White flag is out. Kevin Harvick, the race leader.
That 29 car is going to get wide here in a minute. Because he's got to stop this momentum of this 9 car. Look at the 2 car up there on the outside. Coming. Look at Kurt Busch.
He's been involved in the last 3 cautions.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
No more Mr. Nice Guy right here.
Driver number 2 will not be denied. There goes Boyer around.
Backing up a little bit. Got spin behind you. Come on. Keep coming.
As of now, we don't have a caution. We'll see if they let him race back to the line, and it appears they will.
And there's no caution because he's so far behind and there's nobody back there. I'm sorry.
Kevin Harvick, the race leader, off of turn number 4. Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon behind him. Will they make a move? They will not. Harvick wins at Daytona.
The 2 car, they got together right here through the trial. Well, these guys did, the 2 and the 71. Good run by Bobby Labonte. You got to give him a little credit there. He's
top 10 finishes
15,
for
16.
Reed Sorensen, Mike Bliss, Scott Speed, and the momentum continues for Dale Earnhardt Jr., 4th tonight. One more look at Clint Boyer, who was the race leader when we went back under green.
33 looked like he kind of bounced off the outside wall and came back across Rudimann's front end. I don't think Rudimann had anything to do with that at all.
Carl Edwards just shot out of line.
Yeah, Carl just up the race. Oh, right in front of Bliss right there in the 71. Bliss had no place to go.
And after all of that, Kurt Busch finishing 7th tonight. Look at that race car and explain how he comes home 7th at a place like this. Kevin Harvick started on the pole as the point leader after qualifying was rained out. And at the end of the evening, he's the man that will get the trophy in victory lane. And now we join the celebration in victory lane with Matt Yoakum.
Back in February, Kevin Harvick dominated with this very race car, led it into the 1st and 2nd green-white checkers, and just missed scoring the win. Tonight, he closes the deal. What's it mean to win this race, a crown jewel event, and especially with the historical ramifications of this is the final race on this pavement?
Well, this has been a great place for us. Daytona has been one of those magical places for us since we started coming here. And just got to thank everybody from Shell, Pennzoil, Jimmy John's, SKF, Champion, Coca-Cola. Drink a lot of Coke Zero. This is their race. Real Tree, Reese's. Who did I miss on the back? I think I got everybody. But I want to say hey to all the guys from Jimmy John's, and congratulations, Brock, on kicking some ass tonight. So that was pretty cool.
How crazy can you describe the final restart and setting yourself up knowing what your teammate was going to try to do as well?
Yeah, that really wasn't a situation that we wanted to be in. I wanted to be behind him and being able to push him because it was working pretty good for us. And then that caution came out, and we had to split up because of the double foul restarts. But I helped him as much as I could, and we got split up in the 9, and I think the 24 split the 33, and then that was it.
You have an impressive trophy room, so many great mementos from your racing history. What's it going to mean to add another Daytona trophy and probably some pavement from the start-finish line?
I don't really care about the trophy. I want some of that pavement from the start-finish line out there, so this is pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kevin Harvick enjoying the Coke Zero, and it never tasted so good. And some congratulations from his owner. Always good stories to tell when you have a victory at this place, and Kevin Harvick able to pad his point lead in the process, not only on the season, but he picks up another 10 bonus points for his second win of the year. And there you see the updated standings halfway through the season. How about Jeff Gordon jumping up to second? Kyle Busch dropped to 6th, and here's the meat of the story. Mark Martin fell out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now in, and what a difference with a green-white checker finish for Clint Boyer. He stood to be inside the top 12, leaving here with momentum. Instead, he's outside and 49 points behind.
Yeah, but those guys just changed position. When you look at it, they're still 20th place is only 170, 60 or 70 points out, and it's been that way for a few weeks now.
Jeff Burton didn't get the win, but a top 5 finish for him. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Somehow a top 5. How did you rally for that top 5, Jeff?
I don't know. That's just the way our year's been. I don't know. We had a great race car. I thought we had the fastest car on the racetrack, and we just, got in that deal with Kurt. To be honest, I don't even know what happened. I know he was coming just, a big head of steam, and we got together. I don't know if it's my fault or his fault or, it was one of our faults, and wrecked half the field, unfortunately, and the car wasn't that bad. It hit every corner, but it hit everything solid, so it didn't tear anything up too bad, and we got in the right line the first restart. That last restart, we were on the bottom line, and that wasn't any good ever. But we had a fast race car. I thought we had the best car on the racetrack tonight. I thought that if everything would have gone the way that we needed it to go, we'd have won the race. But nonetheless, it was a good finish for us. You come home with a restricted plate race, top 5, you probably ought to skip, go home.
After all the races, though, lately where you've had a top 5 car and didn't finish there, how rewarding is it tonight?
Well, I'm disappointed we didn't win. Like last week, I was really disappointed we didn't win. But I'm not discouraged about what we're doing. We're building great race cars, and we're not finishing the deal, but we will. And when we do, it's going to be a bunch of them. And if we can get ourselves into chase, we are a real contender. I mean, we can run. Our speed's great. So I'm real happy. I'm proud of all our Caterpillar and all our sponsors have done such a great job with us, being patient through last year, and just real proud of all of them for sticking in with us.
Led a lot of laps, finished 5th tonight, Phil.
Jeff Gordon, I know you would like to be over in victory lane where Kevin Harvick is right now, but all in all, with all that went on there, late stages of this race, you got to be happy with the top 5.
Well, it's been a while since we finished one of these races too, so we certainly haven't had good fortune going our way recently, but DuPont Chevrolet was really strong tonight, especially on the long runs. We needed long runs, and there at the end, Steve made some great calls, and we missed some of the big stuff, and I did a big 4-wheel slide into 3 there, and able to come out there pretty clean, and got some good runs there at the end. And I was trying to push Clint Boyer, and I don't know if he was riding the brakes or what was going on with him trying to keep me on his bumper, but it was really messing us up. And I finally just said, I got to go, man. You're killing me. And got a run around him, got another run, and got it because he was trying to help him get to Kevin. But all in all, a great top 3 finish for us.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Wild night in Daytona. Very unpredictable throughout. Harvick, the last man standing.
Last man standing, and that's the way it was. But, I mean, there were times when we had the complete Harvick, or the complete Childress group up there, the complete Penske group. We had the complete Gibbs group up there. And when you looked at it, it's just the way this thing played out. I don't think any of us thought as slick as this racetrack was, as bumpy as it was, the way they separated and the way they got spread out, that this was going to happen. But, I mean, it's good race no matter what. It came down, but there were a lot of stuff probably shouldn't have happened out there tonight.
You know, earlier I knew Harvick was running a good season. I just didn't know if they had what it took, you know, for championship. And I'll tell you what, they're looking pretty tough right now. You know, they're starting to put wins in their columns, and that's impressive.
They've been consistent. That's good. But you said the key thing, Wally. Wins and bonus points.
Yep.
That's what will win you the title. Next Saturday, NASCAR on TNT heads to the Windy City. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with Countdown to Green. And then it's NASCAR Sprint Cup racing from Chicago. That's Saturday, July 10th on TNT. This race was scheduled to start over 5 hours ago. It was a long night in Daytona, but for Kevin Harvick, it was worth the wait. He's enjoying this fireworks show, celebrating his second win at the World Center of Racing. We congratulate Harvick and the entire 29 team, and we thank you for joining us. For Wally Dallenbach, Kyle Petty, and our entire NASCAR on TNT team, I'm Adam Alexander. Good night.